Hey YouTube, one of your hosts, Omega here. Popping in real quick to let you know what you're about to listen to. In honor of the build-up to Lostbelt 6, we're taking our old discussions on previous Lostbelts on our weekly podcast about Fate Grand Order, Let's Talk FGO, and clipping together into these compilations that you see here. So, you'll hear audio from multiple parts of an episode, sometimes from multiple episodes stitched together if you hear any odd transitions or sudden shifts, but it's going to have all the content in there as best as we can stitch together. Also, the episode this was taken from was recorded almost exactly 3 years ago, so obviously it's going to sound a bit different from our newer stuff, but it's there. And we hope you'll enjoy this trip down memory lane with some of our best content. Stay tuned to the end of the video for a shout-out to our patrons, and also wait for the end card to check out links to the main podcast. With that out of the way, I'll pass it off to Past Lucky and Omega.
But yeah, so we're gonna go straight into Lostbelt 1, Second Impressions.
AKA,
We say second.
Well, yeah, it was second because last week was first, so now it's just all of them.
Mm-hmm.
All the impressions.
Yeah,
so from start to finish, top to bottom, Lostbelt 1.
Yeah, we're gonna put a spoiler warning right here. We're not gonna intentionally give out spoilers, but Lucky gets excited and he's been drinking, okay?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about some big moments, which may or may not be reveals because it's just the way it is, but they're really good. Like I said, I'd love to insert some Diaz Irie in here.
Some Darath.
Yeah, because holy shit. Oh, man. It's in my notes, but, man, this OST slaps. Like, holy shit, everything top to bottom. We'll talk about a couple of the greater moments that come later, but just in general, everything about the music is really good here. I gotta find out the titles for some of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because I took it to be the Cryptors leitmotif because it played during their Legion of Dune scene, but that track is really just the new, like, serious thinking kind of music, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. There's a couple of other interesting tracks. But let's start at the top. So, I wrote this down. Goredolf, still not evil, just efficient. AKA cowardly.
Yeah, read as cowardly.
I mean, yes, he's not one for physical danger, but he's not overly an asshole. He's just like, okay, come on.
He's very nobleman of that stereotypical nobleman of like, I want the best things, I want to ensure my fucking safety. But he, like, if you notice, he, like, a lot of the times, he about like, what the fuck you doing? You need to stay safe.
Right, because he's like, whoa, you're the last master. If you go down, we all go down, buddy.
Yeah.
And sometimes he's like, hold on, we need Holmes to stay with the Shadow Border for me, because he's our only self-defense servant. And it's not just about him, though. He's also like, this Shadow Border is the last bastion of humanity. Now, obviously, if it gets taken out, he'll also die, but also he's thinking, big picture. No, dude, then we all lose. It's game over, man. Yeah. No, I would also like to officially say, I and several other people were a little concernicus because it's like, oh man, why is Small Da Vinci a 5-star? That feels like they're trying to just gouge me. Because in JP, it was long said that her combat ability was diminished. However, what the fuck, JP? Goredolf said that. You took him at his word? Why would you believe him? He's wrong about everything. Well, not everything, but you know what I mean.
Well, maybe her combat power is diminished, but maybe it's improved when she, like, does the fucking, Outlaw Star with the fucking Shadow Border.
Well, it's true. The thing about her being a writer is she gets to actually use the Shadow Border to, rattle around and do fun stuff. But, like, I don't know. To me, when I read that he said that, I was just like, oh, we really took him at his word a lot, didn't we, community? Just believing that what he said was just completely accurate. Because I'm sure to him, it is actually true.
Honestly, I would not turn to Goredolf as an expert on servant power levels at any point.
Accurate. He's also just like his daddy. He's just super salty about servants.
I'm glad this actually gets referenced a little bit in the Lostbelt. Especially with Atlante Alter and Avik Braun in here.
Yeah, VK Braun's like, this fat man looks familiar. Have I seen him somewhere before? Nah.
Well, but we're talking about small...
but also mentioning Apocrypha stuff in Goredolf. I caught this, I don't know if you did. He mentions that he was trained by his nanny, Tool 4. I believe that's the scary lady homunculus from Apocrypha. Was Tool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was her name.
I caught that, but I didn't click to who it was.
Let me double check. I have Google right now.
But talking about Small Da Vinci, Much Protect. She is great. She is the same level of sass of a different flavor.
Yeah,
Like-
she has I think this is even referenced in her profile label as playable. She's a little more childlike and a little bit more, like, innocently sassy, but she's still the same sassy pants.
Oh yeah, she's totally a gamer nerd, talking about doing sand damage, how you have to make saving throws against the fucking attack. I think she mentioned that, like, a servant had max int, con, and charisma. Yeah, talking about Iskander having maximum int. No, wait, that wasn't. No, that was the Rio profile, I think, actually. I know she made another one talking about fucking ability scores, but the int, con, and one was fucking... Oh, I think she was talking about Minotaur, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, she's great. In 2 years, I'm gonna fucking die again. Every
She's
year.
here to steal my wallet.
Yes. So, I want to mention this. So, I had to think about this. Like, how we actually had to do a summon for Avic Braun? I think this is the first time you actually had to actually stop and actually summon a servant.
At least the last time it was explicit, yeah.
Yeah. Like, all the other times, it's all like, oh yeah, we set up the power so you can summon servants or stuff, but this is the first time that any of your NPC supports is actually one that you summon.
Yeah, usually we contract roving servants, which we do a couple of times here, but this was explicitly, we did the chant and everything.
Yeah. And, boy howdy, Avic Braun, this was the pick of the fucking year.
Well, it's suggested that since an actual master called out, the counterforce was able to actually hand us somebody useful. Cause
Oh no.
the wandering servants just kind of summoned by the cry of the land they're not real great. Let's be honest. They're very confused about what the fuck they should be doing.
Mm-hmm. Like,
no offense to Billy, Adelante, and Beowulf, but they really have no idea what the fuck they're doing until we come along and start talking to people.
Well, I like how they explain this is because they're in a Lostbelt and they're from the proper human order. They're literally servants, like, summoned by the last cry of the counterforce or whatever.
Yes,
so
as the real history was being written over, the counterforce just started vomiting out servants to be like, stop it, quit. And it summoned, this is probably kind of a spoiler, but it summoned Adelante, Beowulf, Billy, Salieri, and presumably Mozart.
Yeah.
Amadeus himself. And I think that's it, those 5. Because Musashi is a drifter, she just showed up.
She does what she wants.
She showed up, she sorted something, and then she left.
Mm-hmm.
And I think... Yeah, because I think they referenced...
I don't know.
I think they referenced that Minotauros was actually called to the Lostbelt, like, specifically, because he's extra double weird.
And, well, actually, I don't know. Musashi was talking about fighting fucking Russian samurai and hanging out with Russian Yaga Jubei. I can't get over that.
Yeah. Which, by the way, your only options are Russian Yagu, ? Russian Yagu? !
Yes, Yaga Jubei, son of our Yagu.
Yeah,
also
the more famous one.
Yeah.
Because he was pretty cool at the sword.
Had eye patch and everything.
So my next note is Snowmash, because I believe you said this last time. They do not slouch on the aesthetics here, on the graphics. There are multiple sprites. They use most of the servants different levels. Like Salieri goes through all 3 ascensions. Anastasia does a couple. There are multiple Yaga sprites.
Yep, you have old Yaga, young Yagas, various flavors of Yagas.
We have male and female, and then we have a couple different ones for just civilians versus soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of stuff. And I referenced Snowmash because Mash actually gets multiple different sprites because she actually comes and hangs out with us for a little bit in story. And she gets a parka, which is adorable. Also, she has tactical belt pouches.
Mm-hmm. Here's one of the things. I finally understand what the Arctic Warfare thing is about. It's not so much as that the clothes are supposed to protect you, it's all the fucking spells and shit on it that's supposed to protect you.
Yeah, it's literally made to protect you from the fact that it's... Because even in the male form with pants, it's not actually snug enough as pure clothing to protect you from the fact that it's like
Negative
minus 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Did they
Constant
say
blizzard.
Did they say centigrade or Fahrenheit even?
I don't even remember.
If I had to guess, localization probably would have caught that and switched it to Fahrenheit, but who knows? Still, minus 100 is bad either way. It's way below freezing.
And here's the thing, other point. Even with the Mystic Code, you still have to go out in a giant fucking snowsuit.
Yes, you're still insulated, and then the Mystic Code protects you from actually freezing to death most of the time.
Most of the time.
Though they explicitly point nobody should get out of the Shadow Border at one point when it's jamming, because the wind chill is enough that it'll freeze you even in your Mystic Code. Even servants will have a bad time. Servants are mostly protected against the weather, but they can still feel it. That's how come, like, Beowulf and Atalante can walk around basically in almost their undies. Beowulf has pants, at least. He's wearing a pair of jeans, I think. But he's, shirtless. Shirts versus skins. But Mash can make do with a parka. Sadly, we missed out on a parka Musashi. She explicitly says that somebody trashed it, and she was back to her kimono to explain why she doesn't have a new costume.
But we do, actually, interesting enough, we do get a mention of Musashi Drift, and she mentions that she went...
Oh, was that a ghosto, or did he just cut out? I think that's a ghosto. See, Lucky, this is why you spent all that money you're concerned about.
I know, but I'm still fucking concerned about it.
I know.
Okay?
I had the same thing when I bought my new computer. Well, Lucky, I'm sure we'll talk about that more on WhatsApp. But anyway, he's back from a ghosto trip. You were talking about where did Musashi go, Lucky? Where did she go?
So, she mentions that in the previous time, she actually went to America, and she thought guns were cool. And when Mash was like, well, where'd you go? She's like, oh, I went to Hawaii.
Yeah, she actually, and she references also she's been to the Wild West.
Mm-hmm. I think that's going to come up here in a few months.
Yes, some of those things will be relevant. Musashi is just a great excuse to reference future content. Because thanks to clairvoyance, we get that, oh, hey, Hawaii. Oh, hey, Wild West. Or at least Wild West Musashi.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I'm sorry, Axe. Axe is talking about how every time I reconnect, I become louder. I have to tone down my godhood here. It takes a moment.
Yeah, after he comes back. It took Jesus 3 days. It only takes Lucky a few minutes. Okay.
But,
I think now's a good time because that's the next one of my notes, because we already talked about protects Loli-Vinci.
Mm-hmm.
And her many adorable faces.
Oh, I love her so much.
We'll circle back around to a VK Braun, Bro of the Year.
Yeah.
Because he really is. He's great.
Like, honestly, like, of all the servants we could have summoned, like, literally he had a solution for everything. Even if that solution was just fucking rub some golem on it.
Yeah, well, so he makes a workshop. He's a caster, so he can supply his own energy. That's the thing that's referenced why we can't summon more additional servants, because we're not running off Chaldea's reserves, we're running off the Shadow Border, so we'd run out of juice pretty fast. Yeah,
no, Devil's Eater brings the best meme about this. It's basically the flex tape meme with the host just being Avic Braun and the league being any conflict in FGO. Just slap a patch on it, golems.
Yep, basically. He's got mobility golems, he's got fighting golems, he creates a snow golem at one point.
He makes, has labor golems, he makes tiny golems to help kids with chores. He makes one badass fucking golem at the end. We can talk about that later. Oh, man.
Though, I will say, none of his golems stole the show quite like Shanshan, the miniature Shantek bird.
Yeah, wasn't a Shantek one of the...
They're one of the freakish bird mobs in Salem, yes.
Yeah, so we got some Eldritch tiny bird here, and I'm kind of hoping that it magically comes with us, because the fuck. It's so cute.
Yeah, it's adorable, and also helpful.
And helpful. It was basically used as a communicator in this wild-ass blizzard.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Because in case you guys... just to outline how much this Lostbelt sucks, in case you feel bad about certain decisions you make in this game. It's constantly super fucking cold.
Constant blizzard.
There is no growing season, apparently. Nope. It's basically in constant blast winter, because there was a meteorite in the middle of an ice age. It was bad. The only animals left are demonic beasts. There's no conventional animals or humans left, only the Yaga. Now, Yaga are pretty resilient, but...
Well, they're pretty resilient. Oh, you can finish.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, their resiliency comes from the fact that they need to eat a shitload of calories all the time.
I think they said like 10 times what a normal person would have to eat.
Yeah, I believe they said that a healthy human can go like a week without food, which I believe is accurate. You can go for a while without eating, depending on your body type. Yaga can only at most last like 3 days before they run out of food and starve to death. So they constantly need to eat. Now, in exchange for this, they're super hardy. I think the only way they can die is if you crush the head, if you destroy the head. They do not get sick. They heal broken bones. They can, take one in the arteries sometimes. Like, they are resilient.
They are super fucking fluffy.
They are very fluffy. Oh, Paxi, my boy.
Oh, man,
possibly Paxi.
I'm gonna say Paxi, but that CE just really sells you on the fluff. I'm like, oh no.
Oh yeah, no, the CE artist made him extra floof. I do like, though, that the CE records his speech at the end, because it's a very important moment. We'll talk about that more later. But Paxi's is a great character because he's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, every time we say something, he's like, pardon the fuck out of me. What's going on here? What?
What is this? Why do you have no fur? Why do you... It's all like, why are you smiling?
What's this thing you do with your mouth? It's called smiling, Paxi. You should try it out sometime. And that's the sad thing, though, because he's like, I have never once had anything in my life to smile about. It fucking sucks.
Well, you're talking about the Lostbelt kind of suck just because of how the Yaga culture is. Like, kindness and compassion are completely alien concepts.
The only thing they have left is strength. That's literally the only thing they have left in this world. There's no music. There's no entertainment. The only thing they have is hunting and eating. And if you can't hunt and nobody does you a solid, you die.
And,
whether you're old or young or whatever.
They actually talk about a lot about this, how elderly and young will sometimes just get kicked out of the fucking village so the strong can survive. I was like, excuse me.
And it's the only thing they have because of how they are.
Yeah.
And their name, by the way, comes from, this is funny, because we had this conversation, their name is a reference to Baba Yaga, because when they were first started, they actually ate each other before that became their taboo. And that is at least something we can say for them. They have developed a culture of a taboo that is like, we don't eat each other anymore. We'll let you starve to death, but we won't eat you.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not what we do anymore. But yeah, it's... now, they do apparently have some low-level magical power. That's part of how their healing is, and also their weapons are basically mystic codes, because they have to be able to kill demonic beasts. So they're interesting, but yeah. It sucks to suck, I guess, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Yaga basically means something scary, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at fucking that analogy right now, and like it's just depending on where you go, you can get terms like Hutter, Short, Chill, Witch, Legendary, Evil Female Being, Wood Nymph, Dryad, Fury, Evil Woman, something like that. To the Little Explorer.
But yeah, so Paxi hangs out with us for a while, does some stuff.
Oh, that reminds me of something.
What's up?
I meant to mention this last time, but we looked up I don't think I mentioned this. We looked up the etymology of what fucking Zem Lupus is.
Oh yeah, Kadoc. We defined his name.
We didn't find a direct translation for Kadoc. It's like, apparently it's something like Hungarian or something like Eastern European or something like that. But Zem Lupus is Russian and just stands for Wolf Country.
Which, hey, all like... and guess what? Grand Duchess of Beast Nation. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no joke that Kadoc got stuck on this. We're gonna have a lot of conversation. I don't think Kadoc's in my notes anywhere that I took, but we should have a long talk about him as a character, because he's very interesting. And unusually for us, for I think everybody except Gatia, he's still alive at the end of the story. Like, because of the nature of singularities and now Lostbelts, almost all the characters, good and bad, leave after we're done. Like, there's sometimes where we technically flip a quote-unquote antagonist, like you could say that happened with excuse me, got a little burpy. You could say that happened with Babylonia, right? Mm-hmm. Though, honestly, Ketz kind of was on our side the whole time. She was just playing the heel,
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't usually get antagonists who can stick around for multiple chapters. So in that sense, the Cryptors are obviously a little bit different, but Kadoc specifically is like, he actually lives through the climax of this thing. But yeah, we'll have a lot more to talk about Kadoc, I think, once we get through the whole thing.
Yeah, so... where were we talking about? Because we
were talking about Avika Braun and just how cool he is. We could talk about that guy forever.
Yeah, we'll talk more about, like, once we get, like, later to, like, our...
Yeah, this is just, my impressions are basically what was the big highlights for me. Like, for instance, I wrote down about, I specifically note that says Caenis big dick swinging, because Caenis left an impression.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people in our community actually do not like her very much now, which is interesting.
Really?
No,
Really?
they're very upset by what she said. I think it's a context thing, because if you actually read that whole conversation all at once, not just like the individual, the headlines basically, every single thing she says in that conversation is trying to provoke Kadoc. Literally everything. She tries to push every button to get him to do something, and as a result, Kadoc is like, just fuck you. He's just like, I don't have time to deal with you, fuck you. And she's just like, okay, alright.
Yeah, Caenis did look like she was kind of spoiling for a fight.
Yes, well, so at the beginning in the pre-prologue, Wodaime sends her out there to make sure, hey, Kadoc, you're not fucking this up, right? Like, you're actually doing the thing, and you're actually prepared to fight Chaldea. And so she shows up and she's like, hey, nerd, are you and your girlfriend gonna fight Chaldea? Are you gonna actually compete, nerd? What happens if I throw your books on the floor, huh? What if I kiss your girlfriend? What are you gonna do, nerd? And Kadoc's just like, and she's like, you have passed the test. I must go now. That's really all it is she's just there to just slam into the scene and be like, hey, fuck you, buddy. And Kadoc's like, big dick swinging. And then Kadoc is like, fuck you too. And she's like, good. We're friends now. I'm going. It's very, like, when you look at it overall, that's just all her character is, or his, or whatever. So maybe we should talk about that a little, because you actually put that note down, like, whatever
the
their
note
gender
is,
well, yeah, there's that too.
Omega put in the notes, Caenis, big dick swinging. I just put in parentheses, could be literal.
Yes, because that is the thing that is very much, we talked about this last time, because Ophelia uses feminine pronouns, Wodaime uses male, and it kind of goes back and forth a lot. And this is because in legend, so, Caenis, which is spelled one way, which I think might be the way it's spelled in story, yeah, I think it is, was a lady.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was boned by Poseidon.
Against her will.
And Poseidon was like, lighting up a cigarette, was like, damn, was that good for you too? Hey, that was so good, I'll grant you a magical wish. And Caenis was like, I want penis. And he was like, Dunzo! Also, you're invincible. And then Caenis became a dude, and we spelled his name differently. And Caenis was apparently kind of a dickbag. The centaurs did not like him, and because they could not penetrate his skin, they crushed him under some trees, and he died. Or possibly turned into a bird. The thing is, though, that in certain, it's mostly Roman poets and the like, but in later tellings, when characters go to the underworld, they run into Caenis' ghost, and Caenis is a lady again. So, that leaves a very open lore interpretation for, well, as a heroic spirit, obviously, Caenis would be she again. So, we'll see. Because it is, none of the characters know what the fuck to do. I don't even know if Caenis knows. I don't know if Caenis cares. Because Caenis is just a little bit absolutely livid. She's very mad. I gotta be honest, I don't mind a character who is an actual honest-to-God classical Greek hero in that sense, right?
Yeah. Like,
Achilles and even Odysseus are kind of a little goody two-shoes. Herc just goes, rah, 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 rah. You know, a lot of these Greeks could be a little dickish, and Caenis is definitely that. Caenis is just a jock.
Yeah. But as I said, like, here's the thing. Like, we don't have much on Caenis. We just have these... This is our literal first impressions of Caenis. We don't know how she actually acts. Maybe when she...
It also could be that she's still just mad because we know she doesn't like Wodaime. Yeah. And Kadoc and him are friends. So she might just be being an asshole to Kadoc because she doesn't like his team.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Presenting to us a very interesting option that she is a servant who doesn't want to be teamed up with her master.
Yeah. But clearly she'll want to be teamed up with you, and you'll get along great.
Yeah, we'll have to see also, because so this is another thing that's very important. The summonable Anastasia is from proper human history. This story actually goes through great lengths to note that because Kadoc summoned his Anastasia in the Lostbelt, she's weird. Though we get a lot about her, though.
Like, honestly, though, even if it is the weird Lostbelt Anastasia, I found myself actually really liking Anastasia. Not so much that
she's a great character.
Not so much that I fucked it up.
They do what they should for a major antagonist. They give her a lot of background. Her and Kadoc together, obviously.
Yeah. like I said, because she's permanent, I didn't feel the absolute need to burn my soul's fire completely. But as I said, I put down but I did down on an 80 pack, and I have the same feel. Like Ivan didn't get as much characterization. Like
no,
I said,
he does literally mostly spend most of the time sleeping. Because fun fact, the Oprinchiki are his dream demons.
Yeah,
they only show up while he's asleep and do his job while he's sleeping.
But those few moments when he was awake, I was like, damn.
Well, fuck. You remember this is also super interesting. We reference an earlier part 1 story. We go to a destroyed village, and we have a fucking Camelot flashback to let you know how big deal the stakes are. And when Ivan actually wakes up, you know what music they play? They play Gil's leitmotif from Babylonia. You know, which you may recognize from the anime. The da-da-da-da-da-da kind of. Like, that's Gil's kingly theme, which, again, upsells you on how big of a deal this guy is. Also, literally, he's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, but no, it's like after like the giant climax where he goes on his last pilgrimage. I like how they put that. I was like, yes. I felt for this man.
Nah, he's walking, and he gets something important out, which is just like, hey, you beat me, so are you willing to take the win? And he kind of shakes us up a little, and then he's like, well, if you're not willing to win, then I'm gonna keep fighting. And then he's just like, oh shit, nope, I'm done. And then Kadoc comes out of nowhere to try and steal it by being like, and now Anastasia is the Tsaritsa. And even, I think it's even Beowulf who is like, dude, were you not listening? He literally told the Chaldea Master that they won. He's just like, fuck you, I have command seals.
Kadoc, like I said, I'm not saying this in the worst way, but he definitely is, this Lostbelt is a bit of a little bitch.
I mean, and that's his personality. He's got an inferiority complex, and he is literally faced with the fact that's like, this person, I could have done what they did, and he's not wrong. In the end, the only reason why we won is because of the difference in our experience. He shows that he has all the skills. He has the bond with his servants. He has the ability to take multiple game pieces. Like his plot against Ivan is really good because he figures out a way to use his allies, his enemies, and neutrals to his advantage, and it works.
It works, but here's the thing: like, if we want to talk about protagonists, Kadoc would have been a lot more willing to sacrifice a lot more than we ever would have.
Probably, but also he could have grown too, right? Like, that's the thing. He would have spent time with those servants.
I don't know. Like, because here's the thing. Like, if A-Class had got out, like, I'm pretty sure Kadoc would have died at some point. Because Will Diamond would have just sacrificed him to complete an objective somewhere.
Well, possibly. Or he would have done it himself.
Or he would have just jobbed at some point. Like, I can only make theories.
But
a lot of,
I believe it was Nasir said in an interview that Kadoc could have completed the same journey we did. He just needed to get lucky. I believe that was meant to be solo, though.
Yeah. Like, I'm not sure, because, like, a lot of, like, all our support and, like, throughout part 1 was us making bonds and making, like, you know, alliances and bonds with servants that we met in the field. And partly that's a lot of the times that was because of the Master's personality of being this normal, kind human person.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, Kadoc's thing, though, is that he's very self-effacing, right? Like, if he didn't have his bitterness showing right now, because he's literally fighting us, he probably would be a lot more personable in a certain sense.
Yeah, that's true. I think they actually mentioned that in the prologue, how Kadoc was probably the one most like the Master. And,
like, I think if he did the same trip we did, like if he was the guy who got called to the back when the bomb went off, he probably could have done it okay. There's a couple of question marks. I especially after the ending of this, I cannot deny that Anastasia would have taken the bullet for him, but I don't know if that would, because there's 2 times MASH has to tank in the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I guess that's the other part is I don't know if Kadoc's bond with MASH would have been something else.
That is 100%, because he says that in the backstory that
she's a tool.
That he was Pepe and Ophelia spent time with MASH and treated her like one of them. Wodaime was a cocklord. He's a mage, so he, and as an extension, it sounds like Kadoc and David treated her as a tool. And Hinako did nothing, and Beryl though I should find that art. I saw this It was an OST background, but it's all the cryptors together, and, you know, Barrel's got his fucking sassy pose with his hand out. He looks like he's going to the disco. Barrel's a disco motherfucker. That's all we need to know.
Well, I said, and apparently Barrel tried to do some shit to Mass, so...
I think it sounds like he was maybe trying to fight Galahad or something. I don't know. We'll find out later. Especially after Mash's skill transition. Because her NP changes, but when you see Mold Camelot's animation, you're like, oh yeah, that's getting upgraded. That's not her final form. Also, it's still only NP level 3.
Yeah.
So, it's like, they're gonna do more with her.
Yeah, but we can probably, like I said, we're kind of going into Kadoc's personality now. Do we want to keep going, or are we going to go back to the list? Let's see here.
Hold on, we're talking about how to pronounce Wodaime, which I always thought was Wodaime, because I cannot do his first name. Holy shit.
No, Galahad has fucking booked.
Yeah, Galahad has left the building. That's explicit. That comes out explicitly when talking about Ortinax. Is like, Da Vinci is like, okay, my dude, you cannot call on Galahad's powers anymore. But because you did the same journey and everything, you're still kind of sort of heroic spirit, so you need to, like, realize your own skills.
Well, yeah, that's what they're talking about. Basically, she's not fighting anymore with the power of Galahad. She's fighting with her own power, but she wasn't able to understand and accept that. And that's like half of literally being a heroic spirit, is understanding who you are.
Right. She had to understand herself, and then she had to be willing to commit to the fight. Because that's the thing about being a hero, is you have to, like, go whole hog. But that is her ultimate conclusion at the end of this is, and when she activates Mold Camelot, is, when all sides are equally right, I still want to save what I hold precious to me. And that allows her to activate her Castle of Dreams. Which is just glitch music Camelot. Anyway. Well, I got a couple of notes here. Let's start talking about Salieri / Amadeus Alter as he appears, just because I put this in my notes. Amadeus Alter, in quotations, teleports behind you on a cheese piano. Because he literally does that at one point. Like, he shows up at a church and he fights some Yaga, and his sprite just pops behind one of them and he fucking ganks him and just like, of course. Oh, but man, Salieri's story. He's so cool.
It is cool, like... It was actually funny, completely randomly, because where I live, my friend's parents, they like just to watch investigation dramas, and one of them was literally on the murder of Mozart, and how it could have been Antonio Salieri, and I'm just like, oh, so that's what they mean by the man in gray. That's why they consider a murder and all that stuff.
Right.
So I just got a little...
well, especially canonically the FGO, but based on historical evidence, no. Salieri even says this in the story. No, he was tight with Mozart. He was one of Mozart's mentors, but Mozart was a fucking genius and kind of an asshole.
If I remember correctly, Salieri was actually commissioning the piece that Mozart was working on when he died.
Right, but there are rumors that a Grim Reaper type figure actually commissioned the Requiem.
Which is known as because the correspondence was someone like the Man in Gray.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then the film Amadeus took that and ran with it, and Salieri's the antagonist, who ultimately kills Mozart. But that's not how it... Based on historical evidence, that's not how it was. They were peers, and they were friends, but
also right.
But yeah, also rivals in a sense, because they were both composers. But those kind of things twist and warp Salieri as a heroic spirit. He has Innocent Monster EX. And as his legend is kind of conflated with the Man in Gray. And he has a lot of good conversations, including with Brain Ghost Mozart.
Yeah.
Where he's literally arguing with the Mozart in his head.
Well, at one point he actually argues with the...
Well, he does meet... In a flashback, we see that Mozart was technically here, but he played the piano for days, weeks straight. It was crazy. Like, he played the piano to keep Ivan asleep for a long time and completely blew out his spirit origin. And then Mozart was like, hey, Salieri, you gotta take over for me. And Salieri's like, no, dude, I'm here to stab you, for reals. And he's like, yeah, but what if I just cursed you to be me for a bit? And he's like, fuck you, Mozart, blah.
Yeah, because apparently Salieri's costume is a mystic code that...
Yes, the lamenting exterior.
Yep.
Which his second skill represents. So yeah, that's the powers of the Man in Gray. Otherwise, he would be a dogshit servant. But with it, he's actually a pretty good servant. His stats are actually pretty good. He's got like agility A, I think, and like strength C. So he's only functional as a servant because of the added abilities of the Innocent Monster type summoning. But yeah, and it's really interesting to see him kind of evolve and kind of switch around, and like he's got a lot of memory fuckery going on. Like that's literally his summon line when you summon him is, "I'm Salieri. I'm here to kill a guy." Wait, is that who I am? You know, he's very confused all the time, even in story.
But I do like that. He basically shows up, it's all like, yes, I am Mozart. And he's like, wait, no, I am not Mozart.
Yeah. You boop his snoot, and then he's like, wait a second, hold on, I've hit my head, I've realized I'm not Mozart.
Do you all have a piano? I love how he keeps asking about piano.
He just wants his goddamn piano. And there's only one fucking piano in this entire timeline. And he's after it. And boy howdy when he gets there. We'll cover that when we talk about the climax, I think, because I've had a lot of fun with that one. I also had a major danger sense motion with quote-unquote Metropolitan Marcius, where he says rejoice. Does he say rejoice to Kadoc? Lucky buddy? Oh. I picked the best time to return on boss things.
I just realized what I said.
Would you say vodka monster?
Yeah, no. Vodka and monster. I'm glad you people are more on point than I am.
So to answer Tyranno King's question, because he just asked if Kadoc comes with a pop collab. No, because we don't reshift into events for like a year, unfortunately. I just realized that my mic was muted on Discord, so the audience heard me talking because I had my mic up, but you guys couldn't hear me. It's my beat.
Yeah, no, you're not supposed to mix your downers and your uppers, but lucky don't give a fuck.
Anyway, we're back. We're live because I thought I was live already. So to answer Tyranno King's question again, I was saying that we don't get the ability to reshift into events again for a little while, so I believe most events for like the rest of this year are dreams and or flashbacks. I know it's a little weird as a framing device, but I believe that's how it goes because we can't actually leave the shadow border. What were we talking about? I was completely distracted by you laughing about Vodka Monster.
We were talking about Salieri.
Oh, but also I was talking about Metropolitan Marcius and Rejoice.
Oh yeah,
because Loth came in and said that he said that to our good boy Patsy because he does. He tells him to rejoice, young man. I'm just like danger, danger.
Yorokobish.
And it's a real Kotomine, classic moment because he shows Patsy Ivan and he freaks the fuck out because have you seen him? Boy's huge.
Like I said, in a world where hope, compassion, and kindness do not exist, seeing something so absolute as... Well, no, I don't think... No, I said, like, Best Bear, you have to take this in context of fucking Patsy.
Well, and also, we do wonder if a skill is potentially manipulating him.
Yeah.
Because he basically has almost divine authority in this Lostbelt. But yes, also, it's just... he's the biggest and the strongest. He's made of ice.
I don't think it got old. If it got old, like, shoot, you can say anything, I think that's just your personal taste there, Best Bear.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, it was a little repetitive how he did have to say it, like, every time we talked about it, he was like, dude, you're fucking crazy. Like, yeah, whatever. But that's also, I think, the game is trying to drive the point home that, like, no, seriously, this is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
He's, what did I say in The Wanted? Giant Ice Daddy? Something like that? I don't even fucking remember. Whatever.
Big Mammoth Daddy. But...
Big fucking mammoth.
Like I said, in a world where everything is governed by strength, it makes perfect sense for me that this guy is like, what the fuck you doing?
You guys are nuts. Because we are. We are fucking... we do stuff later. We're definitely fucking nuts.
Well...
Even Kadoc is like, what are you... Are you a lunatic? You're getting right up front and center? And then, like I said, that's that experience coming in.
Yeah. Let's see. So where are we in the list? Cause,
what can't golems do? But we kind of talked about that already. Because, again, FK Braun literally solves all problems with golems. You actually wrote this one.
Minotaur Y.
Because I tried super hard not to spoil Minotauros.
Oh, no.
I just mentioned there would be a certain Berserker boss.
No. And it kills me, like, that you, as a Macromath, recognize, you're like, no, Asterios. And fucking, I think it was, Kotomine was like, oh, if you know him by that name, you must come from a much more peaceful land. And it's just
basically calling it out like, oh, if you know his bitch-ass human name, man, you guys must have had an easy time, because this is the scary Minotaur.
This is the Minotaur that actually kill and ate. Like,
literally eats people. He won't shut up about how he wants to eat us.
Yeah.
Somebody post phrasing.
And, he traps you in the labyrinth a couple times, and you have to fight him. And I'm just like, oh no. And when you do beat him, you flashbacks to Okeanos with...
Because you say his name.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's heartful. What does he say exactly?
Something about...
I can't believe somebody would look at me like that. Yeah. I wish I'd been that me, basically. Like, calling back that Asterios is technically separate, but Minotauros is like, oh, damn, I wish I'd been that me. That guy had it great.
Reminds me, I can't remember, but there was an April Fool's event with, I think it was like some sort of broadcasting company, and they actually had an image of Urali and Asterios together, like knitting, and it was great. I'm like, oh god. Oh yeah, Musashi, that is a very point. I want to say, remember, Musashi's not part of our harem. You're part of Musashi's harem.
Correct. Because every single person she shows up, it's just like, she's just like, she gets one look at Billy boy, and she's just like, he's the coolest and the prettiest. And Billy's like, I'm real glad I have a gun. And then Holmes comes on the comms, and she's like, ooh, he's a little aged, but he's still pretty. Yeah, but also she sees Da Vinci, and she's like, oh, a cute girl. How adorable. I wonder, it's my headcanon, when Masushi comes out of the shadow border later, she totally gave Da Vinci headpats.
I'm pretty sure there was moments where, just Musashi is just in a hug. I mean, Da Vinci-chan is just in a hug, smushed under Musashi's boobs, and she's not letting go.
Because that's the other thing about Musashi, is especially in this Lostbelt, no sense of personal space.
Nope.
She literally runs up to you, is like, hi, grabs you, contracts. Like, I literally had to, I had to roll back the text, because it was so fast, I was like, wait, what happened?
Didn't they actually mention no. What was it that mentioned social distancing? I don't think it was something else. Anyway,
but yeah, Thirsty Musashi.
Minotauros.
So this brings me up a good point to mention that, because there's a lot of assassins in this, I used a lot of Shima, because she's very high level and she's my single target caster. So her NP, where tiny fluffy djinns punch things, basically, have you ever wanted to see something do a somersault? If so, use Shiba, because let me tell you, it is a trip. The Krichats, the poison guys, do some sick flips. Vodka Hydras are pretty crazy. And especially Minotauros is pretty crazy. Because he's huge, and he's just doing fucking end-over-end flips, axes and all. And I'm like, this isn't supposed to be funny, but it is. Oh, though before we stop talking about Minotauros, I should mention, audience, here's a very important note about Minotauros. Look at his story sprite, and look at his battle sprite. His mask is on the wrong side, and his battle sprite is an enemy. That means his sprite is mirrored.
Oh.
That means that at some point, he should be playable. Or at least a playable version of his sprite was designed, because otherwise, why is his story sprite the mask on one side, and then as an enemy, his mask is on the wrong side? It's very interesting.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Yep, but it happens.
So, I actually want to skip over these next two that we wrote over.
Oh, you don't want to talk about the climax? You want to talk about Billy?
Yeah, because I actually want to go double check this. The props to the fucking localization team, but they completely westernized Billy's mode of speech. Because I actually went back and checked in America, and he talks in nothing like that. He just in America, Billy just talks like in a casual, friendly way. He doesn't use.
So actually, though, I also wonder if maybe that's the writing improved on FGO too. But
yeah, because I don't know how they did in JP. But
we would need, if somebody can understand the Japanese text and compare. Does Billy have more, I guess, Americanized speech patterns in Lostbelt 1, or is that actually localization going out of their way to make him feel more Western? Because boy, howdy do they.
Yeah, because I actually went back to the American chapter, Young Guns, because that's the appearance, and in that, Billy just talks, casual-like. He's like, hey everyone, nice to meet you, how you doing? And here, fucking Billy's all like,
oh, y'all, it's great to see you. I haven't seen you in a snake spit. Ow.
One tarnation. Are you getting yellow on me? Like, just fool.
Draw.
And, and it's, like, very on point.
Paint like a dog here.
Like, it's very on point, but, like, it was so jarring to me, because I just remember Billy, like, Billy didn't talk like that before.
No, but it's real good. I love Billy so much in this chapter for a lot of reasons.
Oh, yeah, no. Like I said, I did a dick move, and I put all Lostbelt servants into my support, even if they were level 1. I'm working on Billy right now.
My Billy
And-
is tippity top.
No,
I like Billy for a while. He's a little weird to use, but he's fun. Sadly, I did not use him as a story support much because they gave me a lot of Angry Cat, and I'm just like, well, there's no gosh darned sabers in this map anywhere. That's not true. There are a few, but they're very rare. But yeah, Billy's so good. Part of it is his lingo, but part of it's just it's interesting. Billy has no idea what the fuck he's doing, but
He's just gonna hang out with Beowulf and, run some Yaga. Why not?
But also, like, that works perfectly for him because he is a bandito. He's just like, he's an outlaw. He's just like, whatever, dude. What's his little speech when he ascends? Does his ascension sprite up? Just like, head for the horizon, hold on to your horse, And he's going all out. After, by the way, he takes a hit from a capital Oprinchki, who are said to be at least servant tier, if not almost divine spirit tier. And then he's just like, well, I guess I gotta get serious and hit Musashi. So we have an explanation for what his higher level ascension is Da Vinci fiddle with his gun.
Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't actually a magical legend.
Right, and that's actually true. That's been true about Billy's description since he came out. His noble phantasm, Thunderer, is not actually his gun. Rather, it is the quality of a gun fired by Billy the Kid. So
and
it's
Da Vinci
like,
was all like
Tsubame Gaishi.
Yeah, but Da Vinci was like, even if it's just a run-of-the-mill product, you can still get ones that are still better than others, and yours just happens to fit the bill. So, yeah, so you get, like, full thing.
No, I meant his speech before that, not after. When he's psyching himself up, he says some cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about people who are, like, posting some of the dialogue. But yeah, so Da Vinci is like, so technically your gun's factory standard. Now, obviously there's differences, but I can improve it further. You just gotta be, your spirit origin has to be prepared to handle my brilliance, basically.
Mm-hmm. Gotta sync up, and it does. He gets a sweet scarf, a bitchin' hat.
Yeah, he basically goes from second to third ascension.
Yep. Like I said, we didn't get a lot of Billy and things, but again, I'm getting sold on his character.
I mean, I think we got a decent enough amount of Billy.
Well, in America,
he was definitely because he joins us specifically, and that's the thing. He doesn't ever ditch us. Beowulf stays with his Yaga team, so Beowulf is cool, but I feel like we didn't get as much Beowulf as we could have.
We really never get a lot of Beowulf because he was an enemy in America, and he was only really at Alcatraz. Yeah.
He was in Summer 1 in a couple of, he was in Martha's Date and stuff, which I think is why there's less of him, is because they've sprinkled him in a couple of events before.
Yeah.
But they try to make it a big deal that, he's just a ruffian who people keep trying to make king, but at the same time, I'm like, we don't really see you being kingly, though, dude. I get that you're in control of all these Yaga bandits who just call you their boss and whatnot, but, we don't... It's the classic show don't tell problem.
Yeah.
But also, this Lostbelt's really fucking long, so I don't know where you would have tucked that in, right?
Yeah.
I still appreciate that he shows up and being on our side. He is also, again, a pretty stand-up dude. Mm-hmm. And apparently he goes 1v1 with Anastasia and Kadoc while we deal with the Atalante problem.
We didn't write down Atalante, but I'm talking about, well, let's see here. Oh, no, that's post-Golem Punch. So
yeah,
that's post.
That's basically the almost post-climax.
Yeah. So, when, at one point, you have to storm Yaga Moscow. Mm-hmm. And
this is where Billy gets to be a badass, because he's like, well, I'll go cause a distraction. And Beowulf's like, dude, there's going to be shitloads of Oprinchki on you. And he's going to be like, I can take him. I'm Billy the Kid. And then he does.
And this is a post, what I want to
Well,
call
okay,
it.
so we were talking about Billy is good, because he never leaves you once he joins your team. Because you split off from Atalante Altar a couple of times, and ultimately, at this point, she gets captured, because Patsy cracks, and he tells them where the rebel base is, because he is so terrified of Ivan. He's like, listen, don't even put me in the same room as that guy. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
And he tattles, like a little baby. When we got Minotaur the first time, actually, that's when we go to check out the base that's ruined, right? It's when Minotaur attacks us. Deliberately, they split off of VK Braun, and he goes off with Kadoc. And Beowulf stays on his own for a while. So Billy's the only one other than, I guess, Mash and Hobbes and Da Vinci on comms who doesn't ever ditch us. Mm. Well, I do appreciate, this game chapter makes it explicit, Billy has to reload because that's how his gun works, but because he's a servant, he has unlimited ammunition. He can reload forever, but but every 6 shocks, he has to stop.
Mhm.
But I appreciate it. That's cool. Billy's a cool guy. Great
Really
guy.
cool guy.
But yeah, so basically we're talking about that's the first time we ran into Minotaurs when they happen. That's when Atalante got captured. And it's... So there's they do a lot of good things where they cut away to other characters. We see what's happening in Yaga Moscow a couple of times. We follow Patsy. We follow Kadoc at a couple of points, you know.
We get a lot of Patsy Eternal monologue that helps you sell what kind of
Yes.
world we're living in.
Right. Because we get his point of view on us. Yes, Kadoc has the bants with Anastasia, and they have tea parties. Like when she's like, "Hey, I want to go get dressed for a ball," and he's like, "There's no balls here." And she's like, "Well, I'll just have to throw one later. Then help me. Let me go get dressed to go out." And he's like, "Oh, you'll be there forever." And she's like, "Well, then come help me, dickhead." And he's like, "Oh, fine."
Loving couple.
Oh yeah, no, they're already arguing like an old married couple. It's great. But yeah, so that's also again a great building part of their building aspect of their character is you see them a lot. You see them interacting a lot. They talk a lot. Kadoc does the thing where he jumps in front of Anastasia when she's about to get murdered by the snow golem and blocks it with a barrier.
What kind of master goes around protecting their servants? Like, apparently this one.
And he's just like, "Sorry, that's just the first thing I could think to do. Sorry." And she's like, "Stop apologizing." She does say that to him multiple times, because he's that guy who says sorry about everything.
Mhm.
Like, he would be dying in a ditch somewhere, and he'd be like, "Whoops, sorry, I'm dying."
Bleh. Generic death noise 1.
I think that's what RVB did when characters died, is they go, "Blah." So, yeah, a lot of people, honestly, empathize with Kadoc, but we'll talk about him after, because we don't really get the climax of his character until the very end.
Mhm.
We do get to see that he's kind of a big brain boy. He is a nerd. He's also better at magic than us, but I think this is the first episode where us being shitty at magecraft actually comes up. Because there are multiple times when we were like, I can't do that real good. Like, Kadoc explicitly tells us, you should be able to see if you just reinforce your eyes, and you have to be like, can't do that. Never learned that one.
He's like, "Do you know any healing spells?" He's like, I don't.
Not in this Mystic Code.
I was like, God. But if there's one thing that, you are great at, it's,
Being an absolute mad lad.
Yeah. So, second time, after you storm...
Yeah, we storm Yaga Moscow.
Moscow.
Billy goes off on his own. We go to the execution block.
And we basically bait Minotaurus into deploying his noble phantasm again.
Well, yeah, basically, so what happens is Kadoc and Rara Rasputin are there, and it's just like, got a special for you, and Minotaurus comes out, and he activates his noble phantasm, and then Holmes is like, perfect! Just as planned! Because
Keikaku.
we have all of our servants together, like, we bail out Atalante and some of the Yagas, and all of our team except Billy is there, Musashi, Beowulf is all there, and it's only us versus Minotauros. So, we defeat him, we had that sad moment we mentioned earlier, but then Vikebron shows up, and he's like, by the way, great cliffhanger, because he's like, so, before this giant labyrinth goes away, I wanna, and you're like, turn it into a golem? He's like, yes, I'm gonna turn it into the biggest, bestest golem, but I need a core.
Didn't
and then
he say,
he's like,
though, he's
I
gone
know
to the other
what-
side, though, or something? Like, didn't he
Well,
actually...
I think not Billy, probably Beowulf from Musashi is like, but did you go over to their side? And he's like, maybe, who knows? Here's the only thing that matters. And
Like,
then
here's
he
the
just
thing.
rips out his own fucking heart.
Because Vikebron is very just straight with everybody.
Yes.
Like, he just kind of talks to everyone in this normal, I don't want to say dispassionate voice, although you'll
he's a
definitely
little
see
teacherly.
I will definitely say not dispassionate if you go to the mining team. God, that was such a great
Yeah,
scene.
because he's like, oh, but the materials are so good. By the way, Master, there's like a shitload of demonic beasts. Can you take care of this?
He's like, help us! And he's just like, fine.
Meanwhile, I'm like, and then they're like a whole shitload of giant demonic boars, and I'm just like, tentacle team, go! Because, boy howdy, I rubbed a lot of tentacles on things in this.
Yeah.
There were a lot of berserker bosses and mobs, and I'm just like, well, I have a solution for that now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and like I said, it is a trip. When you can tank a berserker NP and be like, oh, I'm fine. Because of that resistance, man, wow. Though I gotta say, Minotaurus had some big fucking crits. I think he still he still took out a couple of people, and I was just like, huh.
Yeah, he can crit people for over
He's
like 10.
Excuse me, he's so huge, and he has all of Asterios' skills, including the one that gives him like 1 turn of Buster Rep. On the plus side, he has Asterios' NP, which means it does nothing. Not really, because actually, like the debuffs for Chaos Labyrinth are pretty brutal, but it's not like your whole team dies, right?
Yeah, but so we get to this part where he's basically like, yeah, I kind of betrayed you, but that's not important right now. What's important is I'm going to make the biggest, bestest fucking golem ever, but it's going to need a core. And he just kind of makes it hang in the air for a moment, and he's just like, I will be its core. And he's like,
he just pops out his own heart and just like, I got it. And then the story chapter ends, and you have to move to the next one, right? Which, like I said, is great. And at some point, there's a flashback where he talks about building the golem, because that's how Kadoc, quote-unquote, got into Flip.
Yeah, he wants him to build the golem. But then when you go back to the present, he talks about how once upon a time, this is what he wanted to do, and he had to sacrifice a child to do so. And you, like, I don't know, but you can just feel the regret.
Yes, he basically explains what happened to him in Apocrypha. He built his golem, but in order to make it work, he had to sacrifice his own master, who was a child. It was kind of bad of E.K. Braun. Casters are usually kind of assholes in Fate stories.
Well, they actually mentioned this, that casters are usually so persistent in the craft that their mindsets become something less than human. And
well, basically, yeah. The thing about mages in Nasuverse is that they're very focused on their particular details, right? They have their particular disciplines. So when those characters become summonable as heroic spirits, they're usually mages still, so they still have all that mindset.
Yeah. So...
But, yeah, you mentioned earlier the plot from Apocrypha stuck with him.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually something important, because usually when servants fight in Holy Grail wars, their memories become muddled or indistinct. You know, they don't remember fine details.
Right.
But this was something that stuck with him even throughout, like,
because he says he does not remember who his master was, what the circumstances of the war was, but the details that he did it are still as plain to him as if he read it in a book.
Yeah. And so, you know, what, like, the regret he feels for that now just stuck with him, and he's all like, this time I'm going to do something different. And literally sacrifices himself to basically make the primordial atom out of fucking a magical labyrinth.
Out of Daedalus's labyrinth.
Yeah. And what do? The fucking mad lad you're like, I'm going to ride his fucking shoulder.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so somebody, they are not listening live.
Whoop.
But it's one of our patrons, Galerion, is in Spoiler Channel saying that because people are wondering about where Minotauros came from, they're wondering, it's apparently being theorized that he may have come from Lostbelt 5. Like, Wodaime may have literally caught the Minotaur and, like, passed him over. Because when we first meet Minotauros, he is introduced by Kotomine, who is a free agent. We've kind of brushed over, but Koyanskaya shows up in the beginning of this, being kind of a bitch. But also at the same time, it's funny, right? Because she's like, she enjoys human suffering, clearly.
Who?
Koyanskaya. Tamovich.
Actually, I have a theory about this. I think she's just extremely hedonistic.
That sounds kind of like it, because she basically, she has this conversation with Kotomine, and he's like, you won't find anything you like in this place. And she's just like, yeah, you're right. The Yaga are just they're too resilient to torture, but they're too desperate to, like, abuse, basically. So they're no fun. Yeah, there's nothing fun here for her.
Tamovich basically wants to play with her food. Which is one of the reasons why she just lets you fucking go.
Right, because she's just like, you're not even interesting right now.
Yeah, so... Yeah, she's totally chaotic evil, but as I said, she's one of those people who's going to give her opponent a chance, so in case when they fail, she can laugh harder.
Right. She's the lunatic with a hunting strat, where she's like, yeah, I'm going to fucking literally hunt you and put you on my mantle. And it's like, well, you guys are just standing in this alley. That's no fun at all.
Yeah.
You're not even any more fun than those weird dogmen. And she just pops off. Though, we should note that, yes, she did convince Yaga to kill one of their neighbors and take their money. Because apparently they still have money in Lostbelt 1.
Well, I'm sure they have to, like I said, you need currency to conduct trade.
Right. They sort of have a government, kind of.
Yeah.
Honestly, Patsy mentions this later, the people in Yaga Moscow are pretty functional.
Oh, yeah.
They actually, quote-unquote, believe in the Tsar and stuff.
Yeah, but...
Because they've never read it.
Yeah, Tama Vitch was doing something interesting. She was bringing food to them. She was just making them do really desperate things for said food. Which,
right, because she's a horrible sadist. She's like, I'll give you your food, but you have to pay me, and then she jacks up her prices. Because that's another thing, is you get the impression that she's completely mercenary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if the price is right, she will literally do anything.
Yep. She actually said that in her tagline, like...
Yes, she leaves... Doesn't she leave Kotomine a business card or something?
Or she says, like, something. She says something that's, like, for a business card, like, if you, like, want, like, something even at the expense of someone else's happiness or something else, make sure to rely on NFF.
Yes.
And then she's out.
And then she fucks off to another Lostbelt. Because she do that.
That's how she do.
But yeah, so we were talking about the climax, right? Where in Yaga Moscow, he's built the giant thing, which unfortunately means the big boy is waking up.
Yeah.
This is at which point Kadoc goes just as planned, because in fact, this was his plan.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is something they reference a couple of times, and the Cryptor team is a little confused by, because it's constantly wondering, what's this giant fucking tree doing here, right? What's this tree? Holmes is obsessed with the tree. But the tree isn't doing anything yet, and they kind of call him out. They're like, your Lostbelt hasn't even taken root. And he's like, don't worry about it. I'm working with the Lostbelt King. I'll get it figured out. Well, it turns out he's not. His plan is to kill Ivan and then make his servant Anastasia the ruler of the Lostbelt and grow it that way. Which is actually really interesting, because he doesn't just take his Lostbelt at face value. He's like, I will take what I like about this, but also this place sucks. I will change it. A very interesting tactic.
Because apparently Ivan was a man of God, and even in his dreams still believed in God. But for the Tree of Emptiness to take root is you had to believe in the foreign god or whatever that was.
Well, so basically the foreign god says, I need you to create a new mythology. Yeah. Ivan would never create that new mythology.
No.
Not as long as he lived. He would still be a man of God in a certain sense.
Mm-hmm.
But, for instance, once Kadoc destroyed him, he could say, that was Ivan. He was the divine beast, the founder of your race, kind of thing. Like, he could build that new mythology.
Yeah. So Ivan has woken up.
And this is, I think, one of the big reveals, is when they're like, oh, hey, what's this mountain we're looking at? Oh, fuck.
That's him.
He's a giant mammoth.
You see that crown on top of the head? Yeah, that's his weak point, but good luck, fucker.
Well, yeah, because Kadoc says, so on the top of his head there's a crown. That's all that's left of his real body. We gotta hit that. And you're just like, okay.
Golem punch!
So you summon a giant golem and we get a cool, sweet CG.
Apparently, as I said, in mid-combat, you're on his shoulder, and Paxi and Kadoc are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're like Kadoc says something to the extent of like, I know there's defensive spells in that thing, but that's crazy for you, the master, to jump in. And meanwhile, we're riding on Adam's shoulder being like, it's not that crazy. I punched a beast once.
Capital B beast.
Yeah, or like, dude, this ain't shit. I ran away from Herc once. And Kadoc's just thinking, oh, fuck, I skipped Lead Day. Because he would. That slouchy motherfucker. Though, Kadoc also points out he skips Sleep Day, too.
Yeah, it is.
Constant dark circles.
You did not punch Tiamat. You clearly gave head pats, so she would go back to sleep.
But yeah, so this is in a couple of steps. The first step, you fight him on his big old beast moto, but you don't get your full skills yet because they're basically trying to delay him while the golem gets finished.
Mm-hmm.
Then the golem grabs him, but it's not quite enough, right? It's got to be like, we got to do one more. What do we do? And then Salieri's like, cracks knucks. Okay, I'm going to talk to my brain ghost Mozart, and I'm going to play the fucking piano. And I wrote this down as pianos externally, because he just starts going fucking nuts on that piano.
Well, I like it because brain Mozart is very close to actual Mozart, and telling Salieri that, no, you don't need to play like me. You don't need to play like a fucking genius. You need to play like you and put all of your emotion into what you play. And Salieri's like, but all I have is rage and hate. And Mozart's like, yeah, do it.
Play that song. And he's like, all right. And he plays Dies Irae, which is, it's technically a Gregorian chant first, so there's a couple different variations on it, but famously, it's from Mozart's Requiem symphony. By the way, I've pointed this out a couple of times, and a couple of people have noticed it. In the actual OST version of this, which you hear in this when it starts, it plays the first, dun, 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 dun bit. And then it goes into it's a piano rendition of the FGO of the Grand Order theme, which I thought was really cool because for just a little bit, Sally is out there playing our song. But I had my volume cranked the entire time through this fight. It was great. This was the hypest shit because it keeps playing. It is the battle music,
and here's the interesting thing: this piano is literally situated like at the top of the fucking palace, and. Like I said, and once Ivan hears this music, he's all like, no!
Well, yeah, because he's mad, because an important point of also why he woke up was Anastasia literally flipped the bird to an oprinchki, and when he wakes up, he's yelling, Anastasia! I heard what you said! I heard what you say, even though I was asleep! And so he's real mad at her, and she's just like, whatever, dude.
Yeah. Because, in case you didn't understand, basically, Anastasia was, this one, I'm not sure, was basically murdered by the fucking...
by the Dirty Commies.
Yeah.
No, by the Dirty Commies. The Oprinchki are ancient. Yeah. But they were also a secret police thing.
Yeah.
But she really doesn't seem to like Ivan Grozny very much.
Yeah. Because he basically represents, the state that kind of got him murdered, even though she's...
kind of. She's from the dynasty that kind of came after, but still, he's kind of the reason why, he turned Russia into an empire. He became the first Tsar, and she was the child of the last Tsar, so it's kind of the whole, dovetail thing. So, also, she says this, she really hates Russia, especially as a Lostbelt servant. She hates the land. She doesn't like this country at all. She has no reason to fight for it, but maybe she has a little bit of reason, Yes, Ivan is heard you talking shit.
And so, he real mad. He's a lightning man.
But then, because, he spits off lightning like crazy. But so he hears Salieri play, and he's just like, what are you doing? Get out of my brain with your brain music. So he blows up the palace, which doesn't get Salieri the first time.
But it does wreck the entire area.
It wrecks the palace and exposes him, so I really want Lostbelt 1 to be animated so bad.
If anything, I just want the scene of Salieri in his third ascension, this giant bestial form just wailing on a piano
just
in this
furiously
room.
pianoing in the middle of a blizzard in a blown up room as there's a storm raging. Just imagine that guy going apeshit on that piano.
It's like, oh my god, I love it so much. Honestly, I understand, a lot of people were talking about, when it's how much they love Salieri, and I didn't understand it then. I definitely understand it now.
No, he has a great showing in this Lostbelt for a first out character.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so we do the second Ivan fight, and then there's just a big, long story section, because this is where you unlock Mash's costume and skills. Because he's gonna fire another blast, and it's like, oh man, if he blows up Salieri, we won't stall him long enough. So the master is like, get in the way, and they're like, no, dude, this is a divine spirit's lightning, basically saying, this is like a Zeus-class lightning bolt, you're gonna, even if the golem survives, you're gonna fucking die, and the master's like, well, can't move. So the Shadow Border comes tearing in. By the way, Goredolf apparently is driving, so we know that he has driving skills. Again, he actually is good at this.
They actually mentioned this a couple times. He has the nickname Goredolf the Pheonix. He's really good at driving, running away, and good at food, apparently, because...
Well, yeah, he's an alchemist, so he's developed alchemy techniques to purify meat, because he's apparently been lost in the wilderness before.
So again, Goredolf has this weird, eclectic range of skills that are just so happening to come in handy here.
Well, honestly, I think it makes sense about why he is so fussy. He has gone without, so he's like, fuck that, dude. That sucks. Give me some real food. But yeah, he loves to race. He's an amateur racer. So
there's CEs about that.
He actually drives the Shadow Border. It has an EM catapult and fucking shoots Mash at the blast, and she tanks it.
Okay, real talk. I'm kind of sad that we weren't allowed to put a drill on the Shadow Border.
Yeah, they have that conversation with, Da Vinci is too damn cold and goes inside. Because apparently her being an artificial body, her spirit origin's a little wonky, so she's not as cold-proof as other servants.
But yeah, because they've been mentioning the Ortinax system a couple times.
Yeah, that's another thing. Apparently Marsbury was that guy who planned 5 plans. He had a backup plan in case Mash couldn't activate her heroic spirit, so she could still fight.
Yeah.
Which is the Ortinax system, which is, I believe at one point, Da Vinci calls it the Ortinax exoskeleton.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it basically appears to be some kind of powered armor with a rocket booster and rollerblades. Because in case you didn't know, Mash has little wheelies too. but it basically allows her to fight at full physical potential. She just needs the mental activated, which she does in this. Because, like I said, we sort of mentioned this earlier. She comes to the conclusion, which is like, even if all sides are equally right, I still want to fight to protect what I care about.
Because she and Musashi had girl talk, and Musashi's talking about, like, honestly, I don't really like sword fighting, but it's literally the only thing I know, so I'm gonna enjoy it. Like,
right,
how I can.
This kind of mentions that Musashi basically mentions how she's kind of a scumbag, because it's true, because she's a Minamoto Musashi.
Yep.
Well, I'm guessing because of the way we're talking about the Ortinax pronunciation. So in JP it was usually Latinized as Ortinaeus, but obviously it's being spelled Ortinax. I'm gonna guess that much like Altria, that probably means that JP said it's spelled that way in English, is the thing. That's always the thing, right? Like, sometimes they have gotten a goof, like I think the first time Boudica got her rank up, they completely fucked up Andraste. But that was an actual deity's name, which I'm sure JP did not give a shit about, but I'm gonna guess that Ortinax or Ortinus is what they intended it to be spelled as, but who knows? Because we had this conversation with Patsy. It's like, what the fuck is the X? Anyway, but Mash is resolving her mental thing with Musashi. Girl talk. Sorry about that interruption from chat.
But big yawn.
Yeah, sorry.
But so basically Musashi gave Mash the you need to love yourself, girl, and just because and even if you're scared, do the thing, because that is something that has been like maintained with Mash like all throughout part 1, is that even though she's scared, you gotta, like, she still moves forward with her shield.
Because in part 1 we had the power of righteousness on our side, right?
Mm-hmm. But you don't have that anymore, so well, not in the divine shield sense, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because as we say, Vesperius brought it to my attention that apparently both spellings, either Ortinax or Ortinaeus, are correct. Because thanks, old ass. If it's the Vulgate cycle, that's Arthurian mythology too, right? I think. Yeah.
I don't know. It says lived in the Euphrates. Isn't the Euphrates the fucking down by Mesopotamia area? Hang on. Euphrates River.
Yeah, Vulgate cycle is the Lancelot Grail cycle. That, because remember, if it's the Grail cycle, that involved a lot of other Christian mythology in there.
Yeah.
Like one of the Knights of the Round Table has the sword of King David, for instance. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. So yeah, it sounds like it's a couple of borrow. Anyway,
names. Anyway, so Mash basically gets the grip mentally. It's like, even if you're scared, even if you don't have Galahad, like, if you want to protect like those who you care about, you have to step forward, and she does. She pulls off a big damn heroes moment, where she literally launches in front of the Thunderbolts and uses mold Camelot. And she basically flashbacks to when she got fucking obliterated by Gatia. Mm-hmm. Like how, like, even if she knew like it was gonna happen, she had to do it. And comes back on that feeling. And again, like, I really hope like we get more MP levels and that animation gets updated later,
because it's explicitly shitty Camelot.
Yeah.
Like, it's her mental idea of what Camelot should be. So I think she either needs to get her own or get real Camelot back. But we'll see. She is still only NP level 5, Bond 5.
NP level 3.
Or NP level 3, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but because, as I said, she describes it, I like it how she describes it, it's a castle of dreams now.
Right. Because, who's that dialogue she's having with it? Was that Bedivere talking to her?
At one point, yeah.
The thing, because she talks about, even if our castle is destroyed, it's not the end. We can always rebuild.
Yeah.
So long as you can constantly rebuild the castle, the dream will continue for a little bit while longer. Which is what Mold Camelot references. Even if it's destroyed, she can keep rebuilding it.
Yeah, she basically deploys that. I think she does it twice, actually, and then in comes Musashi. It's all like, I'm gonna cut that mammoth.
Well, yeah, the mammoth is gonna just smash him with the trunk, and she's just like, well, it's almost time for me to leave. I guess I better do the thing. And she uses her noble phantasm and cuts the trunk in two.
He actually uses her Shibosa version, which actually has the light splitting effect, which I think is really cool.
Well, yeah, because explicitly this is her post-Shimosa. She has achieved 0.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually referenced, and now that she's actually surpassed her father, she literally has nothing. So that's why she just continues to wander, eat good food, be thirsty on...
Also, they mention this, that she's effectively a servant from not a Lostbelt, but from not proper human history. Her world is gone.
Yes. Makes her connection to worlds very weak.
Which is why she keeps teleporting around.
And floating, apparently, like a ghost. Spooky. Too spooky.
Yeah, there's a lot of Sherlock Holmes solving problems in this, which I appreciate. He's still a little bit of it, he still has a couple of his moments, but mostly he's just there to be like, hold on, I'm thinking about it.
I do like at one point he's all like, oh, I have like the answer, but at the point, I should tell you, and everyone's like, oh, god damn it. It's like, later! And then later he's like, oh, I have the answer, but the time to reveal it, and everyone's all like, god damn it, and he's just like, right now! And I'm just all like, oh, Holmes!
Always keeping the audience in surprise.
Yep.
But yeah, and there are a couple of times where he's just like, I don't know enough yet. Oh, I'll get back to you. Which I appreciate. He's not magic. He's just like smart.
I do like he does have a couple like, okay, I have a piece of the puzzle. I have now solved the puzzle. Now I need another piece. That's the solved puzzle. Now it goes into another piece. You seem kind of breaking down how things are when people say certain words and whatnot.
Right.
Like
the moment somebody says something, he's like, oh, that's very interesting what you said there. That implies things. And if that implies that, and that's how he basically figures out the bulk of the Lostbelt mechanics because people keep saying words. Mm-hmm. Like, he figures out why this place isn't a singularity because I think Salieri uses the Lostbelt word first, and he's like, so it's a belt, not a point. Which, I'm sure when that eventually wins, we'll discuss that whole thing. They do a pretty decent high level, but some people may be confused by stuff like proper human order and pruning phenomenon.
That's why What is a Lostbelt is on our Teach Me Omega Sensei.
Let me actually see how that poll's doing, since we're talking about it. I put it up yesterday.
So...
But right, so that was Ivan Fight 2. What is a Lostbelt is winning. It's 60% of the votes.
So we got Sweet Piano, we got Mold Camelot. I think it's at this point that we actually beat Ivan down.
Yes, we hit him, we beat him up, and eventually Adam just reaches up there and just pops his real body out and throws him on the ground.
So at that point, he's pretty much beaten, and
right, he's done.
And Anastasia's able to get the... No, wait, it wasn't then.
Well, no, so first off, he's done, but he confronts Anastasia and Kadoc and is just like, yeah, I'm not gonna talk. I'm not here to talk to you. Out my face. And they're just like... And I think Kadoc wants to have Anastasia finish him off, but she's just like, nah, dude, he's dead. He's just walking.
He's taking a pilgrimage. I really like how they called it a pilgrimage.
Yeah, because they mentioned that he moved the capital, which in this setting, he physically moved his body to the capital to make Moscow the capital, because he was just chilling there. I guess he ran out of juice. Mm-hmm. He didn't drink enough milk.
So he's this broken, beaten servant is literally like dying.
Yeah, he's literally dying. He's an Iceman, and he just... You mentioned this last time. Great use of sound effects in this whole section. Is this, though, before we actually meet Ivan and have our final fight with him in servant form?
Yeah, because he's walking to you to ask you the question, and then, like...
But I believe at this point is where Metropolitan Marcius reveals that he wasn't that guy at all.
No. He was Rasputin.
Greatest love machine.
I totally listened to that not too long ago.
It's great. Wow. When he is finally released, I'm gonna do that for Wanted and hope it's not too long. Hope the chorus isn't too long, and I get fucking copyright claimed. So we have some interesting back and forth because Kadoc is like, "Oh man, I bet Anastasia hates him," and she's just like, "Nah, he's kind of a cretin. He's kind of a creep, which he was. He was kind of a creepo, but also I can't hate him. I'm not mad at him." And in fact, I think they leaned a little too hard on the urban legend because, by all reports, he actually got along great with the Tsar's children. In fact, there were questions of propriety because he was able to like go into the nursery and hang out with them at night, even though they were all small girl children. It was like, whoa, what's this priest doing? And they're just like, dude, he's great. He's so cool. Except he wasn't kind of cool. But anyway, also her memories are muddled though, so maybe that's why she's not like friendly at all to him. But basically, he's like, nah, dude, Rasputin's only goal was to make her the Tsar, and as soon as that guy keels over, it's done. Good job, everybody. And then, which is actually when we get the double reveal, he's not even Rasputin anymore. Now it's just all Kotomine in the driver's seat.
Well, it just probably means
he has done a full-blown waiver.
Yeah, it's basic. Also, I feel like this harkens back to the end of fucking, Zero, where Rasputin, where Kyrie was given a second life with a non-beating heart. It's just like, well, this, because a lot of Rasputin...
Kotomine says, there is a certain appeal to having a second life.
Because interesting thing about one of Rasputin's urban legends is people just couldn't fucking kill him.
That's not an urban legend, literally. That's why we have the term Rasputinian death. They did a lot to that motherfucker. They tried to poison him. It didn't work. They shot him. Didn't work. He fell in the river. They thought he drowned. They pulled him out. Wasn't dead. They hung him just to be sure. Like, they tried a lot of shit to make that man die, and it took a while to stick. Which is why he has to have Battle Continuation EX. All the guts.
So that's why, like, honestly, when this was long before Lostbelt came out, but everyone's like, what would, like, Kotomine be as a pseudo-servant? And everyone's just like, I was just like, Rasputin. Like, 100% hands down.
And then it became true.
Yeah. Man of the Cloth, doesn't want to die, maybe a little creepy. Perfect.
Also huge and has huge punches.
Huge punches. So apparently, yeah, we got a waiver where Rasputin, like, I'm pretty sure Kotomine still has...
Yeah, he still has the servant powers, but he says this. Rasputin's goal was to put Anastasia in charge because she was the child of the... She was a Romanov, she was a person he knew, and it was his goal to keep them in power, because that actually does seem to be kind of what he was going for. He was just a creepo, and people didn't like him. They thought he was weird. So, when his goal was accomplished, as a heroic spirit, Rasputin is done. He has no reason to stick around. So, he just kind of fades into the back, and now Kotomine is in the driver's seat, which I'm sure will mean nothing bad.
That was a good joke.
But then Ivan confronts us, because we've basically, when everything falls, we're kind of hanging out by the tree, and then he's like, hey, Chaldea human, hello. Don't ask me what the fuck my voice sounds like, because...
Hello, I am Ivan, I was king.
I have a question to ask you. Why? The fuck? I am dying. You are killing my world. Are you okay with this? And apparently the master didn't get it until this point, where it's just like, oh, fuck, I am actually killing this entire world. Shit.
Like, honestly, this is the one thing I kind of feel weird about. Like, what exactly did you expect to happen?
I mean, I think the master was just on autopilot and just like, we have to restore human history, but it's like, no, dude, Ivan puts it in very stark terms. It's like, no, dude, if you kill the tree, you're literally killing this Lostbelt. It will fade back into nothing because it's supposed to be pruned. So all of these people who are alive right now will be dead.
And you have a blue screen of death moment.
As opposed to what normally happens in Lostbelt, which is people who die in real life, but people who live are okay. This is like, no, dude, all these dudes are dead. And we're just like, what?
You see actually, I want to cast a shade of doubt on that theory that they all just die and never exist. Because all these prunings come from, branches of the tree. So these people while they might not be Yaga living
well, it's true. These people may exist in a parallel universe. It's just that all of their experiences and everything now will come to an end. However, as reinforced a lot in part 1, that's not necessarily like, as we saw with Gatia, who wanted to remake the world without the concept of death, it's not necessarily a bad thing to die.
No.
But anyway, first we get an Ivan climax where he tries to fight us, and then he's just like, nope, can't do it. Don't got anything left. Gonna die now. And then Kadoc rolls up, and he's like, hey, just as planned. And you're like, I'm getting real tired of your shit, Kadoc. And he's just like, excellent. Hey, Anastasia, do you have the emergency prerogative now? Do you have the power of General Winter? And she's like, yeah, dude. And he's like, cool. Adelante. Get him. Not even I'll get him myself, but Adelante, get him.
Poor Adelante.
Well, yeah. One, she's been basically altered. She is not normally supposed to be summoned using Agrius Metamorphosis, but because this world is fucked up, she was. And it makes sense. It enables her to survive and bond with the Yaga a lot more. Because she is part demonic beast herself now.
Yeah, but she bonded too much.
Well, yeah, there are children here, so we were fucked.
Yep.
Because basically, Kadoc did the same logic bomb that happens in Apocrypha. He's like, the master is going to murder children, and you're like, and she's just like, no, I can't, no, it's not good, I can't do child murder, and he's like, then you must kill Chaldea, and she's just like, freaks out and explodes. That's basically it. Kadoc does a classic programming error on her. Well, I think Kadoc's skill is just being tired forever. Luff.
Bremerton does have the thick and the titty.
And I'm so glad I turned the audio back on just so I could get that in the actual edit version.
Good job. Good job.
All right, so we was talking about Adelante. How basically, like I said that Kadoc basically did the programming error on her, and he did the robot rebellion thing where you make a robot do something it's not supposed to by tricking it.
Yeah.
And she's just like, as Adelante says it, she understands neither of us have done anything wrong, but...
Yeah, she doesn't go full-on rage hate like she did with Jean.
But because the Yaga are here and she is bonded with them, she cannot allow herself to let you just kill them. So her rebels show up. What's up?
Oh, but like I just said, you find out, like, even before all this, she is tortured over the decisions she is making.
Well, yeah, because she's from proper human history, supposedly, so she's real torn up about the fact that technically these guys are supposed to be dead. They're not proper. They should never have existed, rather, is a better way to put it.
But they're alive now, and so it hurts. It's like, ugh.
And honestly, the little tiny baby Yagas don't seem so bad.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that they don't know what the fuck music is.
Like, here's the thing, like, it's easy to say that, oh yeah, like, these people don't belong if you look at the stand back, but when you see actual, like, living people, and it's like, oh yeah, all these things should be dead, it's a little bit harder just to condemn them all to death.
I mean, yeah, it's on a micro level, it's hard to go, oh, these guys should all be dead. It's better to look at it from, like, this world never should have existed. Like, these people should not be in this shitty situation, period.
Yeah.
Like, this is a how do they usually phrase it? This world took a wrong turn. It made a mistake. And
specifically because it's in the period of stagnation.
Well, like, yeah, basically these people will never grow anywhere.
Nope.
That's why it got pruned. This world can't flourish.
Nope.
And, well, here's the thing. So, while we're still freaking out, the rebels are with Adelante, and I appreciate this. Adelante doesn't pull the trigger on us.
No.
She gets the Yaga to do it, but, and this is where our boy, the Fluffman himself, gets the ultimate climax of his story, because, man, Patsy's been through a lot. First of all, I knew the moment his mom was mentioned, I was like, oh, something shitty's gonna happen to her.
Mm-hmm.
And it did. Probably. Maybe. I gotta say, because it wasn't on screen, on the one hand, I can believe those guys were assholes enough to do it, but also, that was that one motherfucker who just hated on Patsy, so it's hard to tell. She might have just starved because we were gone a couple of days.
Yeah. But, yeah, so Paxi, like I said, we gotta go a little bit back on Paxi. So, Paxi's not quite like other Yaga. He questions things. He wonders.
Because he's seen some things that make him question. He says his dad used to be captain of the guard, but when he tried to get the Optrinki to let go on their taxes, they fucking killed him. So, he was born questioning the order of things, but unlike Adelante's rebel army, he was never weak enough to actually rebel, as it were. He just had thoughts and feelings, but he kept going through life. He's that guy, He's just getting through life head down, trying not to cause waves.
Because that's the other thing about Adelante's rebel army. It's mostly, as the Yaga society would put it, weaklings. A lot of young people. Yeah,
some of them are fighters, but there's a lot of, like, elderly and children, basically dependents who are supported by non-standard Yaga. Like, I get the feeling that those Yaga who are actually fighting in her army are like, I don't think it's cool that my kids or my parents just have to die because they can't eat, basically.
Well, yeah, because all the independent Yaga are just like, fuck yeah, be strong, eat good.
Well, yeah, because Beowulf's group are literally bandit Yaga. They were guys who just couldn't get along in society and are like, well, we'll just make our own way.
And a lot of them actually ended up trying to go to the rebel army, but when they saw that it was just a bunch of old folks and children, they're like, ugh, I don't want any part of this. I'm gonna go, like, do whatever.
And then Musashi just killed a lot of them. She killed a lot of dudes. Because they kept trying to fight her.
So, Poxy runs into these fucking hairless things, and it's all like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is that? What is that you're doing with your teeth? It's called smiling. Don't you do that? No.
And this is one of his flashbacks. It's like, why would anybody smile? Like, what is there to smile about? Because that's kind of why he does his ultimate move. But we have to go through several steps.
Yeah, so he understands that as humans, we're super fucking weak. But for some odd reason, we don't give up. We still smile at things, and he can't understand why. He literally cannot comprehend this.
Mm-hmm.
And so at one point, like basically after he gets broken, he basically has a moment to you where he literally takes you hostage for a moment. Very, very charged moment. Holy shit.
Yes, he's like, hold on. I need to talk to them in private.
Yeah.
Even though he assumes that Holmes will listen in. And it's like, I got an even 50-50 if you did or not. Because Holmes says he didn't. But did he, though? Who knows?
I don't know. They said in the shadow border he was doing nothing but drinking his tea. And I'm like, Holmes, where'd you get that tea?
Well, they have supplies. At one point, you're offered coffee, which I'm like, God bless you.
But Goredolf has been hoarding the best shit because, goddamn you. Anyway, so he has a moment where he's like, I can't understand this, and I hate this. I hate this about you. That you have not, like, that he's not, that you as the master are not, like, with the system of the world. You, like, defy everything about that. And I think he hates it because he can't do that.
Yeah, I think at this point, when the chapter called Patsy's Decision, which is literally just all story, basically his conclusion is like, so, I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to betray you, but I'm going to stick by your side because I want you to see that motherfucker and see the decision I made, why I did what I did, and I want to see you break. I want to see you cry and scream because I need you to understand. Basically, in order for his world, his entire life to make sense, he needs you to be as broken a person as he is.
Yeah.
Because he cannot understand how you are still okay, which is mild. The Master has always been a character who's mild levels of okay. Median okay. We're not totally okay. We've seen a lot of shit.
Well, it's also, like, I think it's a fine point. It's because we've seen a lot of shit that we can smile.
Right. Because we take the good with the bad, basically.
I always like to reckon back to Leonidas back in Babylonia. Take a deep breath, you know. You'll still be scared, but you'll be relaxed.
And actually, that's actually a choice. When you have a moment to man up, you can either, I think that's in Yaga Moscow, you can either slap your face or take a deep breath.
I took a deep breath.
I went for a face slap because I thought that would be... I felt like that would be more visual because Patsy's right there, that motherfucker. I'm like, okay, I gotta show him. I'm getting psyched up. But yeah, so that's his big moment. And he has a lot of stunners through the battle where he's just like, holy shit, you're doing it. You're fighting that guy. I told you it was impossible. Oh, you're doing it anyway.
But, so we get back. So Patsy is I don't know what to call this type of character. Like,
so Kadoc is a dark mirror. He's a foil.
Yeah.
In a sense, Patsy's a foil too, but he's the
foil via the world rather than the system.
Yes, he's the character who exists to kind of explain the world to us and show us, because this is another weird case where because the Lostbelts are completely different, we need a character to basically exposit what it's like to us.
Mm-hmm.
Pro tip, this is going to be a recurring theme of Lostbelts.
Prepare to die constantly.
Oh,
in your heart.
Also, yeah, by the way, like, so Lostbelt 1, really super fucking good. It doesn't stop. The ride doesn't stop from here, kids. Like, this, we're not off this wild ride yet. And actually, I said this in a, like, spoiler chat, I think. I am super stoked. There's so much in this first year. Like, next year's gonna be weird. Because there's only 2.
Technically, we are the baddies. On a technical sense.
In the sense of the world, we're the antagonists, yeah.
Yes. As I said, we are fighting for proper human history, which is all proper and right, but these people are, still living for their lives.
Because, keep in mind, the game doesn't, I believe the way the writing of this section of FGO is, the game doesn't need to explain to you why our world should exist. You know why it should exist. It's full of shit you like, and people you like, and just blue skies, and stars, and people smiling, right?
And technically, we've already lost. We've already been taken out of the quote-unquote
Well, actually, here's another really great metaphor. Kadoc explicitly calls it, this is a Grail War. Mm-hmm. And we're the fucking Angramenu cursed arm bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're the Janu or the Amakusa or whatever. We're the extra bit that comes at the end and fucks it all up for everybody.
Yeah.
No, because Gaetia would have destroyed human history.
Yeah.
This is a reverse Gaetia. This is restoring human history that was already improper and destroyed, and now we've got to fix it back because it's been fucked again.
Yeah.
That's a very, very harsh way to put it, Axe, but you were correct, right? Like, I said this earlier, these worlds kind of should not have existed because they just suck so much. Well, most of them suck. We'll see. We got a lot of Lostbelts to go through. We'll see on their various levels of sucking.
But again, it's one thing to actually to understand it. It's another thing to actually see these people and do it.
Right. Yeah. Which is where our master has this confrontation. But anyway, we're Patsy.
Yeah,
we go to
Patsy.
the conclusion. We're back here. He's seen us win. He's seen us everything, and only now does he get to see us cry at the end. And we're about to get blasted. And what does this guy do? He says, I think he basically says something to the effect of like, "Yeah, I got what I wanted. Maybe it's not all it's cracked up to be." And then he's like, "Before I knew it, my legs were moving." He does the heroism thing from My Hero, where he's just like, he doesn't think, he just acts, and he
takes the fucking hit. He takes all the hits.
Well, okay, they're kind of they're arguing about making people human. That is the thing. The Yaga are different from us in a lot of ways. Like, they don't have our weaknesses, but they also don't have some of our strength as humans, which is kind of why they stagnate.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll see a lot of different stuff. There are a lot of different residents in a lot of different Lostbelts. Axe also asked the question of just like, wait, do we unfuck time though if we do? I'm gonna assume we do, because without the alien god's influence, he didn't. Okay, so the alien god did technically destroy the present, kind of, but also it froze the world, right? Because after the Lostbelt is removed, we go back to everything being slate white, which is not the natural state of things. Also, theoretically, if we don't have the Lostbelts trying to fuck everything up, we also may be able to actually, use our time cop powers to go back in time. I don't think the thing that, but we have the paper moon and stuff. Again, there's a lot of textual stuff going on here. Because Lostbelt 1 has a great cliffhanger. I love that. After the Cosmos denial part, there's more. And it leads so perfectly. And I can't wait for June. Which, by the way, good news, everybody. We only have to wait till June because Lostbelt 2 has to come out before our anniversary. It literally has to, because Scotty. Literally has to. It can't not. Not without them completely fucking shit up, but they don't want to do that.
By the way, I pulled up Heretical Yaga, so...
But basically, yeah. So Paxi takes the bullets for us. And I think he actually says to us, "Seeing you cry is not as fun as I thought it would be." As he's laying there dying. And
well, not laying there. Are you kidding me? He literally picks you up. Oh, no,
that's right. He grabs you by the collar, dying, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And remember,
you pulled up Heretical Yaga, so you have his little speech there.
It's not all of it, but basically...
It's the crux.
Yeah. So basically, in this moment, he basically yells at you, "I'll never forgive you for as long as I live. You know why? Because thanks to you, I now know there's another happier world out there. So stand up, damn it. Stand up and fight for it. Go on and brag about how much you can smile in your world and tell us why it should be the one to survive. Be proud. Hold your head up high and fight for your weak little world. Don't you dare go losing to a world like this, a world whose only virtue is strength." And then the end tag, it says, "This is but a vision of a dream, a world that would never be possible, only dreamed of by a Yaga. Yet you can still imagine it. You still envision a wolf looking up at the stars, grinning in satisfaction."
Right. And yeah, basically he's like, "Fuck you. You gave me hope." Because he's like, he always wondered, because he says this in Monologue, he always wondered, man, this world sucks. Does it have to be this way? And then we come along and he's like, holy shit, it doesn't. And so he's like, "No, you motherfucker, you can't lose. Your world is better than mine. There is happiness and shit there, so don't give up." And that kind of catalyzes us.
I think it's kind of a thing of, this is the way I think it is, like, even if it's a burden, it's one that you must carry.
Yeah, basically, he's telling us that, like, no, you have to fight for your world, right? Mm-hmm. Like, don't think about the fact that you're destroying my world, because there are things that are better about your world than mine, basically. Like, so, go on with it.
If you think your world is right, you have to do the necessary steps. You can't remain like that, idealist, everyone wins at the end kind of thing.
Right. He forces us to make the same decision MASH does, which is, in a world where everybody is right, you have to, what side are you going to pick? And he basically reminds us, you still have something to fight for. So, do it. Because you made me believe in your world, basically. He almost kind of communizes us, like, don't worry about yourself. I believe that you made me believe in your world, so you better believe in your world, damn you.
I love that they actually made a G for this, of just poxy, bloody. You don't actually get to see the master, but he's like doing the.
Well, yeah, because then they'd have to draw two possibly more, depending on whether they wanted to reference what your mystic hood you were wearing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's grabbing you by the collar and he's just like, "Don't you die on me, you little shit." And that galvanizes us to fight Atalante, and then she gets very sad. She's just like, "Oh," and this is where Billy again comes through, because Billy, I mean, so he's been a little bit, because he wants to shoot Patsy the moment he comes out as a traitor. Mm-hmm. Like, Billy's a little trigger happy, but he's just like, he does the classic Old West thing. He calls Atalante out, literally calls her out, and we're gonna have a duel. Mm-hmm. And they do, and we have Atalante's inner monologue, and she says, every time before firing my bow, it felt as fast as could be, but this time it felt really heavy for some reason. And not only do I think how that would go normally, even if she wasn't psychologically defeated, because that's Billy's thing, is he's fucking fast. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, he waits, his Noble Phantasm can wait until the other guy starts to go, and he can still draw faster than you. Triple tap, no, devilish, he always fires 3.
Yep.
It's literally Tsubame Gaishi with a gun.
Yeah, actually, if you notice, it's always 3 impacts in the center,
yeah.
In the center. Just ping, ping, ping.
That's also what his NP animation is. It's the 3 shots breaking through the pain, which is cool. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so he gets her, and she's just like, well, I guess this is how it goes. We just, nobody did anything wrong, and we have the whole talk. The guy, the rebels are like, no, boss, we understand. It's really, it's sad, but we understand. You didn't do anything wrong either. It's okay. And so she fades out, and then it's like, okay, it's time for the big one. So first of all, holy shit, the grand battle music for Lostbelt is the coolest. Audience, actually, I don't know if you know this, but I'll remind everybody, this is the song that's used in the Lostbelt trailer with Gatian narrating. It's a great trailer. It's this music, and goddamn, it's good. Because this is a fight. I'll admit I didn't have as hard as some people, because I yelled this in spoiler chat, "Awaken, Mayone-san!" So, much suplexing, many pile drivers, which unfortunately, because of Anastasia's sprite dress, which does not move, it's a little bit silly, sadly. Because it's just her fucking dumb dress hem sticking, flat line straight up. Anyway, I mean, when it's a little cold, what better to do than get warm? Hey! Isn't that her Noble Phantasm line, Atsui? Something like, it's gonna get hot in here? Mm-hmm. I think it's like, it's gonna get hot in here, I'm excited. She does that sometime. I was lucky, when you break her break bar, Kadoc uses a command seal.
I actually had a great, because the first time I broke a break bar, she was already at full charge, so Kadoc wasted it on nothing. I was like, bitch!
But first of all, I love that. I love that he has real command spells, and he uses them. He uses all of them.
Mm-hmm. He also has, I don't remember if he used them in the final fight, but I remember earlier he has Mystic Code skills as well.
Yeah, basically, I don't think he uses them in this. He uses a command spell every break bar.
Yeah.
And at the start of the fight, the first one is freeze them, which, Kadoc, I just gotta say, that was a bad idea. You shouldn't have used that first one.
Nope.
That's what fucked you. Honestly, you should have saved all 3 for a revive, but don't worry, experience will teach you. But so the first one is, he gives Anastasia the ability to stun on hit, which is a little annoying, but it's not that bad, because, hey, guess what? Whatchamacallit? Cuts, that's the word I'm looking for. She has, Divine. But no, I'm saying if he used that all 3, he only used 1 spell on that devilish. Imagine if she did full HP Guts 2 more times. That would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it would.
But so the second one is, after you break her first bar, he does Unleash Your Noble Phantasm, so she automatically NPs. And then the last one is, you will become the Tsaritsa, which is basically gives her full HP Guts, so she has a secret 4th bar. But damn, this was just so hype. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a real master on master fight. Like, he goes all the way, does all the tricks in the book, literally burns through all 3 of his seals. And Anastasia gets, I said this in the pregame, but she gets a full 3 attacks per round. We should consider ourselves lucky they didn't decide to make this even harder in that she also gets an extra attack. That would be a little bullshit. Don't be surprised if they don't pull that one out at some point. An enemy gets 4 attacks a turn. But she uses her skills and, uses the command seals, and they're pretty solid. It's a great fight. And like I said, the grand battle theme is so good. So we get to the end, and then that's the end of them, basically. They're gonna lose. Kadoc is just like, no, I can do it. I can keep going. Like, he's really found his footing.
I like here, Kadoc's talking about, like, how did I lose? I had everything! And Billy's just like, it was just a matter of experience. Or someone said it.
Yes. He's
but
just like,
Billy's also like, don't you make a move.
He's like, I never tangled with no mages before, so if you do anything funny, I will literally shoot you. And then, Kadoc, again, experience talking, Kadoc starts to monologue. He does the dumb. Because he's talking about his secret command spell, Sirius, because that's something the Cryptors have. They have an extra special seal, which was part of the Alien God gift package. Because we'll talk about all that, I think, overall at the end when we talk about Kadoc. Or maybe we'll do a review of Kadoc as a character here, because he kind of... spoilers, 5 seconds from now, Billy's going to punch him in the face and he's going to knock him out. But first he starts ranting. He's like, I'm going to use the seal. I will create... If this world's done, I will create a whole new one where Anastasia gets to be the Tsar, Tsaritsa. Everything will be fine, and then Billy just... Like, halfway through his speech, Billy just tries to plug him.
I mean, honestly, good job, Billy. Fuck.
Yes, Billy was like, I'm going to deal with it. Again, we talked about this. Kadoc makes you be like, I'm done with your shit. And Billy is just like, I am done with your shit. Thank you very much. And Anastasia jumps in front of the bullet, which is kind of a big deal for her because she doesn't like guns. She has been shot before, and she remembers it as a servant, even though she doesn't remember much else.
I mean, we have
she dubs that flashback super creepy.
Yeah, it is.
I am watching. So he doesn't have any spells left. She takes the bullet, and she basically has a little pep talk with him, just be like, "Hey, dude, it's okay.
Stop hating yourself.
Don't be mad. You're still alive. You can still learn from your mistakes. Don't take your life or anything. Don't die just because I died. So long as you keep going, you can learn, basically." Mm-hmm. And then she fades out, and he's like, he doesn't know what to do for a second, and then Billy's just like, got it, bop, just socks him. We don't hear from him again in the Lostbelt. Very interesting.
You truss him up, and apparently you take him back to the Shadow Border.
Yep. So, let's talk about Kadoc.
Okay.
Kadoc is a great character to start the Lostbelt off with. He is literally the Dark Mirror, right? He is the nega version of the protagonist. He says this he has a long conversation about all of Team A, which he describes them very interestingly. Because, like, when we find out that this is his internal monologue, we actually do find out, oh, he does actually like Pepe, because Pepe's good with people. Mm-hmm. He thinks it's cool, and, like, I think he calls, like, David a monster or something. Like, basically, he's like, I'm the only normalized person here. With the exception, maybe, of Hinako, but he doesn't really she just keeps herself to herself. But she also, what did he say? She always had something, like, a witty remark or, and it's something intelligent to say.
Yeah, she basically wasn't one to socialize, but she could.
Yes, like, whenever she spoke, she didn't speak a lot, but whenever she spoke, it was something meaningful. Mm-hmm. But he's like, and then there was me, Kadoc Olympus, the loser of the team. Because that's unfortunately how he thinks about himself. But he was from a mage dynasty that was kind of shitty.
It was only like a couple hundred years old, which is shitty by, purebred, like, millennia of, like, bloodline mages. Because, if you guys don't remember, fucking Mages Association is, like, super, like, high class with, like, mage bloodlines and power and shit. So.
Yes.
Did Axe get kicked?
Did Axe get kicked? I wonder what he could have done.
Oh.
I mean, he can come at me all he likes, but I believe we've said this. That doesn't mean he gets a free pass and I don't clap back.
Sorry, I wasn't looking at it. I was just like, what? Okay.
You gotta call Blue punch Buggy no punch back. Then you're immune. But yeah, so Kadoc is really harsh on himself all the time.
I'm sorry, I find the fact that you thought that would be funny.
No, Vesper, that is definitely the wrong kind of clap. Come on.
Well, I'm saving it.
Anyway, we were talking about Kadoc. So he's got a shitty legacy. He's not really that good at magecraft. He's better than us, technically, but he's not great. But then he gets picked to be a master. He gets part of Team A. He's got great master compatibility, right? And it's nothing about his legacy or his skills. It's just a quality he was born with, basically, which is, like, phenomenal to him. And then he fucking explodes and dies. And honestly, his dialogue about this is so interesting, because it's like, oh, well, it's over before it even started, but at least it'll be over, right? Now I don't have to deal with this bullshit anymore. Like,
Nope.
he accepts that he's dying pretty good. He takes it like a trooper. And then it's just like, sparkling star. Which is just like the alien god basically reaches out and is like, so you're dead. Do you want to not die? If you don't want to die, accept my bargain and create a new mythology. Make a world where I can appear, and I will give you new life. Which basically kind of explains why the cryptos are kind of in the situation, right? Like,
yeah, but honestly, like, it's like some weird dude be like, yeah, make a thing where I should exist. My first question would be like, but should you exist? Apparently, when you're dead, that doesn't come up, that thought doesn't maybe proc quite as hard.
Right. But also, it's like, there's also the question of like, well, you are dead, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, you get a chance to come back. And they did. So that's kind of the situation they're in. And he summoned a caster after apparently having this conversation with Da Vinci, which I thought was a really great touch. Like, literally, he was in, like, master coaching with Da Vinci about who he should summon.
Mm-hmm.
He actually summons his servant. He has great compatibility with Anastasia. They get along very well.
Married couple.
As evidenced by their sniping back and forth. But, you know, he still has his inferiority complex because we show up at his doorstep. He's like, damn it, it's that guy. Or gal. Or whatever. You know?
Well,
Like,
yeah, basically, he just, like, this entire time, once he got back, and he realized that someone who was, what Kadoc considers, which is even more inferior than he is, was able to do it, that just kind of puts him
gets
on
his
overdrive.
goat, as we say.
Yeah.
Because he does have a point. We were just an extra. We were just because they needed, 48 masters, I think?
Yeah, someone to fill out the slot.
They were literally on their last slot and they needed to hire one more person. And we were apparently, I think the description in like one of the mangas is that we were like at a blood drive or something.
Yeah.
And they took our blood and then were like, hey, you're great. Bonk. Threw us in a black bag.
I just went through a blood drive and ended up in Antarctica. What?
That's a light novel title. But yeah, so it was like, so he's a little nettled that we did the thing, and he yells this multiple times. I could have done it. I could have done what you did, and he's not wrong. He probably could have. Like, if he was put in the same situation as us, he probably could have actually had his character development and gotten through it, right?
I'm not going to contend that. I'm going to fight him, though, that he said he could have done it better. I don't think that.
Well, yeah, that I think is him just being an asshole to us.
Yeah. Talking about how there was, like, the greatest... Because he said this, I think, way at the beginning, like, congratulations, you had the highest casualty count. And it's just like, there's singularities. The casualty count would have been the same no matter what. Because...
on the one hand, I think it's just... one, I think he's trying to nettle us, but also, yeah, he's just thinking that, like, no, but it's the classic nerd problem. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard this, Lucky, but this is a thing you sometimes hear with, like, videos and stuff. Like, the old, talking about, if you ever see somebody play Minecraft, the old, I could have done it in 2 less redstone thing. Like,
oh, yeah.
He's always thinking that it was like, I could have done it in 1, or playing chess. I could have done it in 1 less move. Like, he's just thinking that naturally being more talented, that, like, having even more magical ability than us, he probably could have done it a little bit more efficiently. Now, whether he could have actually, no fucking idea. But to him, it's part of his inferiority complex to be like, dude, you suck even more than I suck. I could have done it. I suck less than you. I could have done it.
Like I said, I keep going over theoretics in my mind, and I'm just like, because Daime and the other big ones probably would have literally just went a beeline for the Holy Grail, beat up whoever had.
Well, yeah, Daime, I believe it's Nasu in that interview said that Daime and David would have soloed them, but that's because they're crazy monsters. Yeah.
So, like, I can understand how they could have done it, but everyone else, I'm just like, how exactly?
So the thing I think that's important to think about is that if things had gone as planned, it would technically have been a team. Team A would have been, all of the Team A would have gone, they would have had their servants, they would have had Mash, and they would have had Olga Marie, who, if nothing else, was still a talented magus who understood the like, logistics and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Lev Lehner really fucked our shit up.
Well, that's what Surgical Strike is all about.
Though Moonlight Lost Room does show us that technically there is a version of reality where Olga went the whole distance, possibly because we got 8 or something.
I still find it weird that she was fighting on the side of...
I think that's just because that's how her timeline was different. Yeah. That's the freakish mirror universe where she lived, which isn't the proper one, as it turns out. Sadly,
it probably got.
But yeah, so Kadoc has this whole huge complex that's going through the whole thing, and this whole Lostbelt plot is basically, it's basically him trying to prove not just to us, not just to himself, but to the whole cryptors and everybody that one, his servant's the strongest in the world. Blah blah blah. Like everybody has almost every master has that problem, or just that.
I don't know. It's me. It's more like my wife is the best.
Well,
really.
yeah, but it's kind of my servant's the coolest. Second, he can do the thing. And not only can he do the thing, but he can win this whole thing. He's in it to win it, basically. He's gonna win the whole goddamn Holy Grail War. And it's entirely possible that could have. Because he has the right qualities, the determination to do it, right? He has the ability to get people on his side by offering them what they want. And honestly, he's maybe a little rude to Adelante, but that's just his methods. But he's not wrong when he's just like, hey, you do understand what they're gonna have to do to win, right? That's not a win for you, right? And she's just like, we mentioned this earlier, and like I said, I think he's got the determination to do it because he says he's gonna come back and win the whole thing. He's not done, and then he gets punched out. Do we have any more further thoughts on Kadoc, considering this recording is already 2 hours long?
You'll have 100% lucky 100% of the time. Ugh.
Cool. Okay, I was just asking if you had any final thoughts on Kadoc, because our recording time is like 2.5 hours, though there's been quite a bit of ghosting today that will get edited down.
Yeah. So, about Kadoc, as I said, I think he's a little full of himself, but I don't dislike him. Like, that's, like, the main thing. It's like, because they actually said this, like, Mash, when she was talking about that, like, if we had met normally, being Master and Kadoc would probably have been best friends, because, they're so similar. So I'm like, I said, I don't know what happens in the future Lostbelts. I don't know I don't know what happens to him, but I hope he gets a chance to come around,
Yeah.
Like, whether it's, like, not, it's probably not going to happen immediately, because, who knows, he might pull off, like, it might be...
Wojami's going to blow us up, and he's going to pull the Kotomine knife in your back, and just, Wojami's going to be like, why? And he's just be like, because you're a bitch.
I hope he says because something like because my fucking Duchess believed that I could do the right thing or something like that.
Exactly.
Call back. Mm-hmm. So
teleports behind you, unsheathes inferiority complex.
So it's like I said, I make judging eyes at Kadoc, but like I like him.
Yeah, and like I said, I think he's the perfect starter. Because, like, if we'd gone with anybody else, it would probably, like, and I think there are plenty of...
Actually, now that I think about it, we don't start with the dickheads.
No.
Because I said...
Okay. Jolter's very tryhard. But she's also having an identity crisis.
Where did Jolter come up?
Well, if you're talking about we don't start with dickheads, that's Orleans. Like, if you're talking about...
No,
like,
I'm talking about the Lostbelt Masters.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So what does Jolter have to do with it?
Well, you said we don't start with the dickheads. I was assuming you were talking more broad because there's only one Lostbelt, so yeah.
No, I'm talking about the order that we meet the cryptors.
Well, I mean, we met them all at once.
I mean, in the rate that we meet the Lost... You're thinking weird, Mega. Because basically we start with, like... Because we only met them briefly and got brief descriptions. We don't know their personalities or anything.
Well, we kind of know their personalities because, like I said, we do see them all at once in the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, but we don't know. We don't understand. Whatever.
And also in prologue, we do, except for, is it Beryl? Beryl is the one where Da Vinci's like not talking about him, and then David is just like he's weird. So in the prologue to the Lostbelt, before we know any kind of order or anything, it's a little bit like we get them all at once, kind of. I'm assuming what you were originally saying was the order in which we are theoretically fighting them, probably.
Yeah, sure. Let's just go with that, because I don't want to deal with this. So, So basically, we start off with Kadoc, who is just a poor boy from a poor family, and it's kind of true. And from here, like I said, I don't know Ophelia's whole thing. I don't, but from what I understand, is it a she? He?
Yes, Ophelia.
I
Long hair,
Naming-
boobs.
I don't remember. I don't remember. Okay.
Yet you remember the order we fight them in, which isn't actually revealed.
Yeah, because you can't avoid all spoilers.
I know.
And as I said, like, names are nothing. Like, look at fucking Peppercino. Like, what are names?
I don't think anybody brought up her name, even though it's a lady name.
You're like Ophelia.
I don't recall this at all. Did I do that, guys?
Yes, you literally said her name.
Well, yeah, I said her name because it was like you were like, how did this start? It was something like he, she. I don't know. I'm like, you don't remember what gender Ophelia is? And then I followed up with because she looks like a girl. That is true,
Okay.
Robin. Apparently, she can kill with a glance. That's what Disco Boy said.
Okay, so I'm not even gonna pursue this logic anymore. I'm done. All right, what's the next point?
So then we have to fight the tree, which was bumping.
There was a lot of electro in this.
It was kind of weird to me because I started it, and I think I had headphones in at this point, but I started, I'm just like, oh, hey, we got a cool theme, and then it starts, I'm like, the fuck? Where am I? What am I doing right now?
You are flying in the sky with a fucking laser light show tree.
Oh yeah, I looked this up. So its NP attack is halation. That is the state where it's basically a verb derived from the word for halo. It's a state where light escapes the boundaries of its container to create a fog or mist-like effect around it, like when you see that kind of fog around your TV.
Mhm.
That's halation, is the act of causing a halo, basically. Which I'm like,
crazy.
wow, that's really weird. Also, so hey, slight spoilers, but guess what? This theme evolves.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, they use different versions for different trees.
Oh, also, we also should note that the tree was the tree of emptiness Orochi.
Yes, I believe referencing the fact that there's an Orochi galaxy?
Maybe?
I think they're named after galaxies. It's stars or galaxies, and I think it's galaxies.
That's interesting. Once again, foreign god is real foreign. Real foreign. So we fight it. I don't know how you fight a fucking tree, but you fight it. They're like, Beowulf, do something! They're like, Beowulf, do something! Beowulf's like, what?
You want me to fight a tree? Just punch it already! But the tree shoots homing lasers at us. But we win. Yeah. Only, do we actually win? Because that's the twist, is that, even though we quote-unquote defeat the tree, what actually happens is that the priestess appears, who is a literal void in space. Yep.
You can only see her on sensors because there is absolutely nothing there.
Right. There is complete nothingness. They're like, there should still be background radiation. There's literally a hole where she should be. Also, I said this in spoiler chat too, but in case the people on like Patreon or whatever are hearing me talk about it again. But I appreciate that she gets her own leitmotif and it has the creepy music box in there, because of course it does. Of course it does. Mm-hmm. But she does something to the tree and then it freezes and explodes.
Shatters.
Which means we win! Yay!
Cosmos Denial! I like that on the Cosmos Denial screen, it actually looks like there's shards of the tree falling on the side.
Yes, and it does the thing where it shows the image and then it goes to the negative color. Mm-hmm. Kind of like a reversal kind of image. And then, my final note is the saddest Twinkle Twinkle Little Star has ever made me.
So, during the part where Salieri's talking to real Mozart, he says, basically, after this is all done, will you play me Twinkle Twinkle Little Star?
And of course, Salieri at the time is like, you fucking nerd, no, I'm not going to do it. But he gets over it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so first, the Lostbelt breaks, we do the whole thing, Beowulf and Billy immediately leave. They're immediately like, okay, job's done, fucking off, bye! But Salieri is like, I appear not to be fading. That must mean there's something I still have to do. So he goes off on his own, and we go back to the Shadow Border to cruise.
Mm-hmm. And Salieri goes back to the palace. He's like, yeah, you Yaga, you, come with me. We gotta go do something. And he goes and gets the piano and sets it down, ground level. The blizzard that has surrounded the this region for the past, 450 years, is gone. And for the first time...
Well, so the big blizzard bordering Russia, I think, was recent, but the sky was covered because there was a comet or meteor.
Yeah.
So they'd never seen blue sky. Or at least none of the living Yaga had, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like it was kind of weird because...
I do think it's a little... Yeah, there's a little bit of non-specificity around here where it's like, there's a wall effect so we can't leave the Lostbelt, but also it is just cold and stormy the whole time.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know. But, so apparently the blizzard ends, the wall comes down. I guess those, maybe because...
Did he fucking ghost again? I think he did. He did the breakup in the middle of his speaking. Hold on.
What's our total time at the moment?
Currently we're at 2 hours, 41 minutes, 8 seconds.
Jesus, we gotta wrap up.
Yeah, we needed... Okay. Let's get to the point. He gets the piano, you said that. He starts to play some music. And they're like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, it's music, it's good for your soul. And he plays Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and it hurts.
It really hurts. Now, and I had to look this up real quick, why Twinkle Twinkle Little Star was relevant. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, specifically the melody, is actually based off a French folk song, which is called, A vous dira je maman, and was popularized by Mozart. So, yeah, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star was, the English version was basically an adaptation of the French version, was made famous by Mozart. So I was like, okay, so that's why Mozart wanted it.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think just in the greater context, it's a very light, casual song that, especially as try-hard as Avenger Salieri is, he would balk at playing because Mozart in control.
Mm-hmm. But at the moment, it is, as these Yagas see the stars for the first time and see this night full of lights and this music, and just like, this is how they die. And I'm just like, no!
Yeah, basically, they're gonna fade out and go back to being pruned. But at the end, they kind of... I think the idea we're going for is at the end, they get to see how things should have been, basically. Like, the beauty of the stars is something that normal humanity, proper human history, should get all the time.
To know what music is.
Yeah, just simple shit in life. We don't know how they're doing this.
Oh, shit. Did we bring up the cliffhanger?
Oh, no, you're right. We did not yet. We should, because that wasn't in the notes. But after Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, we're driving away in the shadow border. We get to see what the quote-unquote real world is like now, where everything's frozen and flat. And then we pick up a radio call, a magic radio call, where somebody says, I am a survivor from proper human history. I am a mage. If you want to meet me, if you're out there, other survivors, come to the Wandering Sea.
And Goredolf is all like, the Wandering Sea!
Yeah, we actually, when we discussed the Mages Association, we mentioned these guys before. They're one of the three great branches. There's the Clock Tower in London, the Atlas Institute in Egypt, and the Wandering Sea somewhere in the North Sea.
I know we mentioned Atlas back in Camelot. Did they mention the Wandering Sea back then, too? I can't remember.
They may have dropped the name. They don't usually talk about the Third Wing, though. I think this is literally, as this gets mentioned in FGO, is the most anybody has ever talked about it.
Okay.
So that'll come up in Lostbelt 2. We'll be going towards that.
Okay.
Because we can, but we're not zero sailing right now. We are physically driving the shadow border.
Well, because zero sailing is very dangerous.
Well, we literally lost, 90 days?
Yeah, we were in the shadow border for a week, but 90 days happened, and if there had been an error, we could have ended up 100 years into the fucking future.
Which would have really fucked everything up. But okay. Yeah. Let's go ahead and wind it down.
Did you enjoy that trip down memory lane? Well, if you liked it, be sure to give this video a like and let your friends know about it. You can also leave your comments in the comment section down below. If you want more of this, both these best of compilations and fresh new discussion and news on Fate Grand Order, subscribe to the channel and check out our podcast, Let's Talk FGO. Link in the description. You can also make sure to ring that bell for notifications so you always know when we're posting a video or when we stream. We do a lot of little extra streams and stuff. Podcasts, video games, all kinds of things. It'd also be super cool if you considered supporting our channel by clicking that join button and becoming a member of our channel for membership badges and emotes. And also, we have a Patreon who helps support this episode. And this episode is, in fact, brought to you by the fine effort of our patrons, such as, but not limited to, Adam DeHarp, Blacklist OG, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, Ferris, Vice Iceberg, Jerry Vasquez, Jester LaFay, John Sandoval, For Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Regent Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Ramen, Charvor, Sean Pryor, some guy named Bob, Siren23, and Varen the Crow. So if you like what you see here, consider supporting us on Patreon. There's an audio version of this and all of our other shows on Patreon for as little as $1 a month or about $10 a year. And at higher levels, you get other stuff. And with all that, I'm going to skedaddle on out of here. See you for the Lostbelt 2 compilation.